Welcome back, guys. My name's Harrison. I'm joined by Cammy Rue and the mic today to cast this the ESOC Winter 2020 tournament in the Pro Division for the quarterfinals between Aizamk and Mitoe. Aizamk is spawning at the top of the map, playing as the Spanish civilization in the colour blue, with his opponents today, Mitoe, spawning at the bottom as the Iroquois. This map is Bonnie Springs. We do see two training routes either side of the map, where the players can take on if they like to. However, this matchup may promote more aggressive playstyles in the early colonial age to get that training route control, as well as maybe the Iroquois pressuring into the Aizamk space. I'm joined today on the mic with Cammy Rio. Cammy, introduce yourself. How you doing, mate?
Good, doing well. Thank you so much for asking. I'm really excited to be a part of this one. This is a matchup that is so interesting to me. Aiz versus Mitoe, two of the historically, I want to say, popular and favorites top players, especially Aizamk. Well, especially both of them. But Aiz has always kind of stood out, with his atypical play and his willingness to just do his own thing and kind of get away with it because he understands the game at such a fundamental level. His situational, his understanding of each particular situation is really, really, really good, and it allows him to just kind of sandbox it almost.
So, one of the comments I want to make earlier on is, have you seen where Aizamk has been collecting his treasures compared to where Mitoe is? Aizamk seems to rush to the centre, picking up all his tier 1 treasures, which individually, they're not great. However, he picked up a 55 coin, a 30 coin. He also went for 2 food treasures, a 35 food and 30 food. So, a mid-tier food and a mid-tier coin treasure quite easily off the bat, while Mitoe still in his base, basically working on treasures he can find. He did get a wood treasure early on, 60 wood, but he's also picked up 80 food now. So now that Aizamk's right in the middle, he's kind of be able to kind of pick off the treasures he's seen near his base when he moved out to the center, so he can kind of cherry pick what he wants. However, Mitoe's kind of stuck with what he's got. He's gone to the left of the base to start off with over in this area. Moved to the right, and now kind of he has got lucky considering he came across a 60 wood treasure, now an 80 wood. So I suppose Mitoe's not be too upset with this situation to start off with.
Yeah, he's picking up quite a few wood treasures, Mitoe is, whereas Aiz is really using his war dog to pick up all the smaller treasures, but really quickly. So kind of even. I think Mitoe is slightly happier just because he's getting wood, but this is close. I wouldn't necessarily give Mitoe that big of an advantage, if any. In terms of treasure collection.
Now, you know how I said that Aizamk is getting no food treasures? In total, he's only got about 100 food worth of treasures, so actually not as much as I thought he would be. He did get a 60 wood treasure, but Mitoe's 60 plus 80, 140, has set him into a good stance to get the 2 TPs on the left-hand side. We do see that he has thrown one down on the top side, picking that one up first, probably trying to protect it from any shenanigans from Aizamk coming in. But also chopping enough wood to get the bottom as well. And I've just seen, Aizamk has sent himself advanced trading post first, which is, I did say that you could fight for both control on both the TPs. However, he's securing his own trading post first, but he sent his second card. He does have villagers chopping, but ideally you might want to send a villager down to this TP to try and contest it. But obviously it'd be too late now. However, it feels like advanced trading post just for 2 TPs may be a bit interesting.
Yeah, that is an interesting card choice because at the end of the day, the player who sent ATP has 1 less trade post than the person who did not. Kind of an interesting choice by Aiz, but we'll see what he has planned out. I'm sure he is. He's got a plan with this. Looks like Mitoe hit the second age before Aiz did. And a War Hut going down in base.
Wait, so he did age up with the crate card, so he might be using the foods to try and help. Well, the woods to try and get the stagecoach up, as well as the food. A defensive War Hut to try and make sure he gets the stagecoach coming. But yes, we do see 2 villagers dropping down a barracks outpost, moving forward from the governor age up. And I'm not going to comment too early and say whether this is going to be all in or not, but looks like Aizamk is looking to put on some sort of pressure into the Iroquois base, or try and put Mitoe on the back foot. In the meantime, usually we do see this, if you're going for a classical Spanish FF, your first card in the second age would be your 700 coin and get the age up in queue very fast way. But advanced trading post, only 1 trading post down, and Aizamk hasn't actually.
He,
Mitoe hasn't scouted, but Aizamk sent it though, so it's a bit confusing. What's going on at the moment?
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's really interesting to come back and look at the game and see that the Iroquois player is playing defensively in base, and the Spanish player has a forward barracks. It's the game is upside down a little bit, but you know what? It's really cool to see these players with their game plan doing this. 5 villagers coming down from Mitoe. I guess
From
he's
both players
playing.
as well, really. You know,
Yes,
even
you're right.
Aizamk's
Both
like
players.
5 vills, even though he's going for this kind of quasi-aggressive style. Like he's trying to fake that he's going aggressive, but he's trained 5 musketeers. Already got the dogs out, and this treasure guarding army is just out of position and getting that. They're useful to get that scouting information. They're not doing too much damage here, but he can see that 5 musketeers being produced with the dogs still around, and Mitoe kind of. He needs to have some sort of reaction, otherwise he will be bailed up. It's not too scary. Oh, look at that. Crack shot coming in from Mitoe onto Aizamk's units. However, Aizamk's gone to stagger mode, and so if you look at the damage taken, looks like one Musketeers have taken a 90 damage, or possibly a little bit from the Warhut itself, but there's no splash damage on the other 2 units, or very little, so that's good unit control there from Aizamk.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, Eyes has always stood out with his ability to micro his units really efficiently, really well. Even though he doesn't use control groups, has the reputation of having some of the best micro in the game. So a treat to watch those players interact that way. Yeah, it looks like Ace is taking his second TP finally. Mitoe has had his stagecoach up for a little bit now.
Yeah, he used the crates on Asia up to fund that, shall I say, and I'm gonna use a trick out your book and just say A's now. That must be the slowest second training post for personally sent advanced training post I've ever seen. So A is kind of all the unconventional strats for the time being. We do have the 8 musketeers try and put some siege down onto the training post, but it's only down once it's entirely down. It's going to take quite a while for the musketeers to actually get the sieging down. We do see a tomahawk mass incoming behind. We got 15 tomahawks on the field, 10 in this group, 5 reinforcing, and that's enough to kind of push away the musketeers and the war dogs. We do have 4 expos coming in from the right hand side, and you know, I'm unclear whether A's wants to really push in age 2 or go up to age 3. It's kind of he's got a toe in one strategy and a toe in another. He's kind of like tiptoeing around what he wants to do. He does send the 700 coin now. He does have food coming up. However, if he is going for the fortress age, maybe these extra crossbows here was a slight bit of a reaction, because you know wood is quite a precious resource.
Yeah, it looks like Mitoe is equally going up to the Fortress Age as well. So both players, despite playing different civilizations, are playing very similar games. Both having a trade route with a stagecoach, both kind of going for a 5 villager and then a resource crate, and then upping to the Fortress Age. I'm pretty interested to see how these 2 civilizations are going to interact in the Fortress Age with this sort of slow semi-FF, but with stagecoach sort of builds.
Well, stagecoach will give wood for both civilizations, but this is what I was really concerned about A's. The Spanish have a slow age up. They do not have the fast age up, where Mitoe appears to be good up with the fast age with the messenger. So Mitoe will get out onto the age 3 faster and have the momentum on his side if he wants to go for elite tomahawks. And one of the most recent changes, or it's not really change, but more of a discoveries. Have you seen quite a lot of the Forest Prowler use of the Iroquois player? They're very, very strong skirmishers, but also if you take out the Spanish explorer, who's currently in this little mass, you can put the entire skirmisher mass into stealth mode and go for Forest Prowler raids. You can go for sneaky bait your enemy in, but you have cavalry on one side, skirmishers popping out from the hidden behind, and it's a mechanic I think hasn't been used enough at the moment. And we start to see players actually explore that you can, once you get out of the way and pick off the explorer, you can actually hide your skirmishers from anything, and the player might know where your mass is, but can't do a thing to actually bring him out of hidden mode. So a really good trick the Iroquois have.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It looks like players are finally starting to utilize, that ability that Forest Prowlers have that's been in the game since 2000, who knows what, 7 maybe. But now the Iroquois player is pushing onto these barracks right here, and I don't think that Spain has any ability to protect this forward base at all.
No, definitely not.
So
you can see by the stats of the Forest Prowler: 150 HP, 20 attack. These are stronger than skirmishers by quite a bit, and Ace has already lost one production building. He does have a rally point back to his base, so he may have units in queue for the time being, but what's he got in queue? Musketeers? No, he's decided he hasn't got anything in queue for the time being. But yeah, we've got Tomahawks from the Iroquois player. You know, anti-cav, elite forest prowlers, anti-infantry. I'd like to see the Tomahawks upgraded to elite Tomahawks soon, if you can. We do have a 5 musketeer. Well, first, elite 5 musket riders on the left-hand side, trying a bit of poking damage on the Spanish army, but it's just enough to keep the Spanish player interested while the rest of the infantry siege on the right-hand side.
Yeah, no kidding. Looks like A's was like, okay, I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to give up this position on the map, and I'm going to, you know, take one of your trade posts for it. But overall, like, that exchange is definitely in Mitoe's favor. And I liked what you were saying earlier about how Mitoe's fast age up kind of gave him a lot of momentum going into the Fortress Age, whereas Spain is very, you know, slow at this point. Falconet's coming down for the Spanish player, but is that going to be enough to tip the scales? I mean, it is a large mass of infantry, so it should, you know, have a.
He has the 4 hussars from the age up, and in terms of anti-cavalry and anti-siege, we only have 8 musket riders on the field for Mitoe, and these again are strong dragoon-style units with a 30% range resist as well, so can tank quite a bit. But at the moment, there's not enough really here to kind of scare the Spanish falconets. So if they're well protected by the musketeers and the remainder army, then you know I'm sure A's will be able to trade quite effectively. However, we do have on the field in terms of number of musketeers, we do have 13. And do you think a veteran upgrade here will be useful for the musketeers to protect the falconets?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of have to, because they make up, I want to say, almost a third of the Spanish army, and so you want them to be upgraded at some point. But just look at the amount of musket riders that the Iroquois player has. Ace throwing up some walls here.
But like, okay, so he's lost a villager, he hasn't put up the wall, and that's a bit of a shame. However, Mitoe has seen that A's is putting up a wall, and you don't put up a wall unless you're scared of what's behind the wall. Now, in terms of this game and in other situations, a wall is designed to kick people out, and I think A's is kind of, he's a bit scared, he's on the back foot, he's realising that, hang on a minute, Mitoe's come up age first. He's slightly ahead in the shipment curve. He does have, they both do have 2 Fortress Age unit shipments out. But we do see the 4 Hussar raids come into the south, and it's actually catching the reinforcement skirmishers, and there's nothing to back him up. We do have 3 musket riders here to defend it, and with the Warhut Dragoon styles and a little bit of TC fire not being used, it looks like Hussars being picked up very readily. And the Spanish army still kind of is again in between. Do I defend or push out? He's unsure.
Yeah, I feel like he kind of, with the Iroquois player at his doorstep, Eyes has to play defensive. He has to do something. The tricky thing is, like, how do you even upgrade this army as the Spanish player? But forget about that. Here's an engagement coming. Falconets are sieging up, and some good volleys on the Tomahawks.
Minutemen pushed out, and he's starting to push away from that, from the fight. We do have the Falconets quite far away at the moment, quite exposed, quite safe though by this natural Gaia wall, and if anything, the Iroquois player has been kind of choked in by this wall, so this 5 wood, 10 wood being dropped down, these wall investments has somewhat paid off for the time being. He's managed to actually take a good trade, and all the Tomahawks are currently down, and that was actually a good fight there for Aizamk.
No, I completely agree with you. I was kind of surprised to see how that panned out. I wouldn't quite say that Ace is out of the is out of it yet, but
so we do have this stagecoach being built for the Mitoe, or the second TP. We do have only 1 TP down for the Spanish players, unable to get the map control needed to put down a second one. But yes, we can see now for one reason or the other, Mitoe's kind of gone for more of a kind of cav-heavy composition for the time being. He does have a huge, massive musket riders, 17 of them, and these are not cheap units. 55 food and 100 coin. 100 coin units are very expensive to fund, and yeah, hopefully he can start rebuilding the massive forest prowls and send some of the upgrade cards, which, if we look at Mitoe's deck, what kind of upgrade cards he does? He does have the infantry combat, but also the cavalry attack and HP cards for age 3, so we may see that. We may even see a gendarme being shipped from the French, or should I say, renegade French cuirassiers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is such an interesting, matchup. This is kind of interesting as well. A's taking down the Gaia walls and replacing
Oh
them with
my
his
god,
own.
he's completely thought about this. The wall blends in. You can see it on the mini map, but if you've got units nearby, you might think it's just a villager gathering here or the military. But if he's in a pickle or sees Mitoe's army on the other side, he can just quickly chuck a gate through that, and Mitoe will be caught completely out of surprise at that point. They're both playing very tentatively for the time being, as in like they don't want to overcommit too early. I guess this is game number 1, and have you seen this? We've got some Spanish spies out in the field. He understands how the Iroquois war chief is a very important part of the army composition in terms of providing a boost to all the units, as well as being a very strong unit in terms of HP, range attack, and the crack shot. So this scouting information is also useful, but also trying to position him around so you can actually pick off this Iroquois war chief if he has the ability to, and he's able to, shall I say.
Yeah, no kidding. A smart move by A's. We'll see if it pays off. Iroquois pushing in now, sees the church, so Mitoe is probably going to have an idea just because he's playing against A's. I'm really interested / concerned about the lack of anti-cavalry from A's at this point. Just given the amount of Kanya horsemen on the field.
Yeah, I've still got the military units open. We've got the 12 colonial musketeers. We do have 9 upgraded veteran rodilleros with a 12 pikeman ship and a pike upgrade coming in. So instead of having upgraded musketeers and colonial pikemen, he's going for the upgraded pikes. And so I'm not too sure he'd want to further invest into pikemen and produce any more. But yeah, going for upgraded pikes just off of a 12 pikeman shipment is probably not what I expected. We do have a second town centre up for Aizamk who's managed to produce about 5 or 6 villages so far. I haven't just been counting. It's been up for a while, and it's on top of this single mine and a couple of hunts here. But it seems like Aizamk's actually getting the reward off it now. He invested early, and both players sitting back has kind of actually helped. Well, it's helped both players. We got the second TC for A's, but Mitoe's managed to capture the 3rd trading post and the trading post of Aizamk as well. We do see the spies trying to come in from behind, but look at this explorer tucked up nicely in between the forest plows. There's nobody going to come in and take that unit out for the time being. So he's just using these spies for the time being for scouting information. But you can scout what's coming towards you, but you need to deal with what's in front of you as well. And this is a scary mass as well. 120 military population, and these are strong units.
Yeah, they are extremely strong units. Some upgrades are probably going to start trickling in from Mitoe, I think, at this point, where he's going to upgrade his infantry, upgrade his cab, fire pit coming down, as you pointed out. And I'm starting to think that at this point, Mitoe is probably going to start getting an advantage, an economic advantage, just because he has this extra hunt as opposed to A's, who is down to these last 2.
We had the forest prize taking a few pokes on the pikemen, and we've got Arsenal down. We've got Arsenal and infantry breastplate coming in, and this is a lot of investment for these hand infantry units. But we do have a huge mass of forest prowlers and rifle riders. So again, like A's is going for a kind of hand infantry competition, backing up the falconets. And where's the second falconet? It's out of position. He's getting picked off by the forest prowlers. He's drag boxing, which sends the artillery to the back of the field. So this is possibly could try and right click around to send the artillery to the front of the field by the kind of pull trick. But yeah, he managed to kind of sneak through this gap in the wall he's created. He's planned this in advance. He wants this extra mobility where the Iroquois player has to basically go around to this right hand side of the pillar here, or to the left on the other side. And so, Iroquois and this wall is now being completed as well. So really, the only passageway is either this side or here, unless he tears down one of the walls.
Looks like these musketeers kind of pushing these villagers off the bison, which is only a temporary thing because the army of Mitoe just comes back and protects these resources. And at this point, Mitoe with these upgraded forest prowlers, already an excellent unit, but now he has a card on them. I feel like he's going to just overwhelm the army of A's at this point.
The other thing to note is, like, currently the Spanish explorer is down. A's could put the forest prowlers into stealth mode, walk up to this wall, and in a controlled way take 2 volleys onto the Falconets and take both of them down without the Falconets basically having a chance to retaliate. So he does have the mass available to do it. He does have 36, and 36 times by 22 times by 0.75 is still a lot of damage, and so could be able to take a Falconet in one shot, or at least take the 2 down in 2 if he splits up effectively. Yes, we have had a elite Kanya Horseman raid on the right-hand side. We did see the Kanya Horseman come to the top right of the map and avoided some of the Spanish villagers on the expired hunt to the top right, but we can't get to this point of the game. Oh, there's a gap in the wall, and the rifle riders just ran through. That was not in Aizamk's strategy book. That was he thought he had
one of the Falcons was taken out.
Yeah, and the thing is, one Falconet, it does a lot of damage, but if you have too much ranged infantry, look at that. He picked off both the Falconets with the ranged infantry, but now the hand infantry is it feels out of place. We got skirmishers, rifle riders. They're all kind of running at the back, thinking, "What do I do?" Colonial Musketeers going to hand attack, being shredded by the Elite Forest Prowlers, and only a small mass of skirmishers behind. They are fencing away a cav raid on the right hand side, but that's just pulling even more units away from the main fight, and the musket riders are just running into the base now. We do have mills being put down by the Spanish player, idle villagers around, no more hunts available, Minutemen being called, but Iroquois players wise to back off, and we do see on the right hand side, a big pickup there by A's in terms of cost effectively, but a reinforcement batch of Kanya Horsemen just allows these cavalry units to poking from the right hand side with still the military presence on the left hand side. This third trading post of Mitoe to be able to fund this economy needed to sustain this push, while Aizamk with his 1 TPs and the mills, he's starting to fall behind, and we need to kind of rally his units and do an A's pop to come back into this. And he's already called the GG for this point.
There's GG, yep. Quite the strong play out of Mitoe. I think he played cautiously, made very little mistakes, did not give A's an opportunity to, get in there. And then I think the Falconets dying was sort of the tipping point of the game, where the one thing that A's army had going for them just was gone. The muskets took out one, the forest prowlers took out the other, and then at that point it was just too much, and the game just tipped into the favor of Mitoe. Really strong play out of Mitoe, I think.
Yeah, Mitoe was just having a conversation there with A's, suggesting, was the church card a fake? Because he dropped that forward church to get the 2 spies out, but actually a quick look at A's deck, and you do not see either the church card, but you also do not see the unction card, which I think in this deck in particular, I'd rather have the unction than the spice trade or the economic theory. We do have Spanish gold available as well for the Spain player, but because A's went up to the Fortress Age so late, he was unable to kind of squeeze that in, so his first shipment was the 2 Falconets, and then once you've got the siege on the field, you need the infantry to protect it, and behind the Falconets ships the 5 Lancers, the 9 Rodoleros, and the 12 Pikemen, and so if he managed to get that Spanish gold in first, that could have been another 2,000 gold paying off in it later, and could have increased his mass as a result of that extra resources. Right, I'm going to hop out the game into this point.
Absolutely. And on to game number 2.
Have you got the chat open onto the side? Because we did have a subscriber subscribing to ESOC TV. Thank you very much, Mr. Subscriber. Unfortunately, my eyes are so far in the game and casting, I missed your very generous subscription. However, I'm sure Incog can go back and find the lucky person and get a massive shout out on this stream.
Yeah, I'm looking. Let's see here. I think I missed it as well. I'm just going to ask. Hold on.
We could just ask the chat to thank the person in endless spams of thank yous. I'd be so upset if I missed like a ZD Flower 20 gift sub again. That would be very bad on my part.
No, it's all good. Crypto Chief was the person who subscribed, so thank you for that subscription. They actually really help out ESOC. The Twitch stream becomes, has a lot more legitimacy to it, and it's money into the pockets of ESOC to fund these tournaments. So every subscription is a huge help. Thank you for doing that, Crypto Chief. We appreciate it.
So this tournament is $3,000 the entire tournament. Just imagine if we had a future tournament with a $3,000 in the prize pool for just the pro division as well. I mean, we've certainly had a lot of subscribers recently, and that is really funding and really helping out ESOC to grow as well, especially with the high number of viewerships we've seen so far across the tournament, which we've been very thankful for the high viewer numbers. I've been watching ESOC since since the first tournament actually. I can remember it was the autumn 15 or spring 15, and at that point I was actually in Australia, so I was on Twitch TV down under watching online and just enjoying it, and I've been enjoying it ever since. So yeah, long may it live.
Yeah, no, it's really wonderful actually what happened. The ESOC story, don't get me wrong, it's been checkered with a little bit of drama here and there, but overall it's such a positive and wholesome thing. I think our community is one of the best out there in terms of there's a very low amount of toxicity overall, and all these people just come together and contribute to sustaining the competitive scene of Age of Empires 3. It's just wonderful. I've always had a soft spot for Age of Empires 3, and to see it still kicking in this day and age, and we're still having all these big tournaments, and people coming together for them, it's just wonderful, really.
Yeah, like for example, I've been playing for a couple of years now. It's never really seriously. Maybe play for a month or two, then go off and find something else to play, and then come back in a while. Went to the New World Championships up in Manchester because it's nearby enough, and had some holiday leave. And
yes,
it was so great to see people in real life as well, kind of put names to faces, kind of understand the personalities behind accounts. And then I thought, now that I got myself a new PC and can do a bit of streaming, hopped in, did a bit of casting, and I feel one of the bros now, part of the gang. What can I say?
Yeah. No, for sure, and that's what we're going after when we host these tournaments, when we host ESOC and all that. It is a gang. It is a community of people just coming together, and I really regret not being able to go to the LAN. There was a meetup in Chicago that I went to that was absolutely wonderful. I got to meet so many people.
Was that with the kind of Ryan Callan and the North American
boys?
Yes, yeah.
Ryan Callan, Duck, Good Speed,
that was like
a
year before the NWC as well. So that was kind of probably one of the first actual meetups. So I think at that point maybe people were a bit tentative, and I got to say though, there was actually a fair number of North Americans in Manchester, which is a large commitment for just an online game. And although we all enjoy it, I wouldn't have got a plane across the North Atlantic to go, but now I've been to the first one, and if there's one popping up somewhere else, then who knows, I may be tempted. Maybe if Microsoft get a bit keen and want to do something in their own side, then we can only pray.
Yeah, no, for sure. Microsoft has actually been doing, fairly well. We've always been a little bit grumpy at them just because of, let's just say, the lack of support for TAD after Robot Entertainment went down. But actually, with what they're doing with let's forget about all of this. It looks like British versus French on Arizona.
And this is a bit of a strange for me, because Mitoe had the first pick, considering that he won the last match, and he's gone for French, which, if it's a 200 would start, we'll go for an early TP, or maybe go for a TP in transition, but both civs are not usually known for full TP control in Age 2, so we might see a different playstyle of civs to kind of compensate for the map.
Yeah, no, for sure. I wonder if Mitoe's, I wasn't quite paying attention to the chat, and maybe I should have been. We were busy gushing about, the community, but maybe the choice of France was that it was harder to counter pick, but I'll forget that for now and let you introduce these players.
Go on then. Welcome back, guys. We're joining into game number 2 of this Pro Division quarterfinal between Aiz and Mitoe. Mitoe is currently leading the series 1-0 for the time being, and he's picked French on the map Arizona. He spawned to the bottom of the map in the colour teal, where this is a 200 wood start, and he's already moving his Explorer out, and he's looking to capture one of his early TPs, but he will need to go to the far left if he wants to safely pick up the trade route pass. He may be able to pick it up on this kind of second from the left trading post, but I'm a bit unsure if it's worth the risk. Do you want to risk such a big XP swing, a big influence this early in the game? But actually, he's already down it, and I think he'll get up in time, so this might be a quite good play, but it might also be really close. I'm going to stay here because this is actually quite a huge moment. We can see from my stationary screen, we've got the TP top left under construction. Currently half HP. The Trevor is coming in close, and he's not going to stop off. And this is close. And the trading post socket spawns on the other side of the trading post. He's missed it. Oh no!
He gets it.
No, did he?
Oh,
no, he didn't.
Yeah, I think he did.
Did he?
No.
No, I don't know.
Oh no!
No,
I'm sorry. He got the 40 XP from building the trade post. My apologies. He did not get
no, he
it.
missed it,
Oh, but it
and
was so close.
it's significant. It's like 120 before being upgraded, or maybe 100 before being upgraded to stagecoach, where it goes up to maybe 120 or some sort. Like it's a high value, and that is a bit of a shame. And he's on to 9 population now. He could be able to send the 3 in queue and get a bit of an overpop going. He's now about to get the house down, but I was a bit concerned that he went for the second from the left instead of the far left, which is maybe listen to this. Mitoe may have thought that A's has also got the 200 or 300 would start, drop the trading post on this socket, and so thought play semi-safe and go for this one. But actually, A's has went to this side because A's may have thought that Mitoe may have thought that A's was going to the far left. So a lot of kind of double bluffing going on here. If you kind of get what I sense, like I think Mitoe's correct to identify A's was going for a trading post, or kind of guess that, but kind of played a bit too far from the standard and kind of go for a trading post, which is known for missing that first TP pass. And he sent 3 couriers at 2 minutes 20, and I'm expecting A's shipment to come in not too far behind as well. 154. So because he missed that trading post, the Travar came back from the first time, and A's picked up that first pass, and that shipment from A's is coming 24 seconds earlier, and that is substantial.
No, it truly is. It cannot be understated. Really an interesting choice of Mitoe to go for that trade post as opposed to the westernmost one. So in the end, we'll have to see how things kind of pan out, especially in a matchup such as this one. France and Brits are fairly close when it comes to their structure, so to speak. So the little things add up a little bit more than in a more different matchup, if that makes sense.
Mitoe has just clicked up to the colonial age now, and I think it's a little bit of idle time, because especially when you're having to chop the extra wood early on to get the house down and try and maintain veal production as well. But we do see Aizamk going for Virginia Company, and you can see he's already started to herd out quite a lot of his hunts. And if you actually look on the map in terms of number of hunts available, he started to herd in like the equivalent of this hunt and that hunt for the French player. But he's actually got on top of it, and Mitoe himself does have. He's got his starting hunt, 2 hunts of deer, and a nearby buffalo. So both players have got access to a lot of hunt for the time being. So I think the hunt situation is fair. We do have extra hunts on the side over here, which may wander off during the time that the initial hunts are given. But going for Virginia Company, early on, I'm unsure how to play this to get the most use out of it, so that actually you're quite comfortable that it's paid off. Because sometimes just going for the having the extra colonial shipment once you've gone through that initial phase is being paid off. But I guess we could have seen this coming with the early trading post, and maybe Mitoe would also be aware that an early shipment from A's like Virginia Company may be coming in.
No, I agree with your assessment. Both players have so many hunts, so many resources at their disposal, and interesting placement of A's for this outpost, which is close to this trade post of Mitoe. So I'm wondering if we're not gonna see some contention for the trade post in the early stages of the game. Though it's hard for me to judge at this point.
Well, Mitoe's been working his way through a 4 outlaw rifleman for 320 XP, and looking at his XP curve, he needs 360 to get the next shipment. So this is at this stage of the game, it's about 80% worth of an entire shipment. So this treasure is actually huge, and it would hopefully help Mitoe come back from his early XP miss of the first pass. So he won't be suffering from a lack of XP. Looking at Mitoe in his deck, he already has 1 card on the way, and judging by in terms of what he sent, yes, he sent the 4 CDB just coming now. We do see a fairly standard deck for Mitoe. No food card, but double wood, double coin, skirmisher hit point card, as well as the Expo and Skirmisher card, as well as the Wilderness Warfare. So 2 ranged infantry cards in Age 2. That's not a usual deck I see often.
Yeah, it really isn't. I feel like he has that set up in a way that he wants the most cost-efficient ranged infantry possible. And I think that those cards are for the skirmishers in H3. I don't think he's going to be playing into Expos in H2, but I could be wrong. Looks like Ace has slapped down 5 pikes onto the field and is starting to pressure this trade post, doing a real number on it. And the 700 wood coming down for both players. Looks like a cavalry open for Mito versus an infantry opening for A's. I think they're gonna contest this trade route.
I've got to say, like, it's all the small things which help and build up. But I've got to say that I don't usually use my Explorer enough, but Mito's managed to get off a decent amount of HP. Like, in total, about 150 worth of HP of pikemen have been taken off field. So, if these 5 Hussars got on top of those 5 pikemen, that'd be a much easier pickup for, well, if Mito had a second batch of Hussars, so they could pick up those pikemen a little bit easier. So that little squeeze, that little bit of value from the Explorer, which wasn't doing anything else, very useful. But we do have a lot of villas being idled in this town centre from all these Hussars and all this extra Virginia company. But just a pikeman coming in snaring, and he managed to get contact on, and 3 Hussars have gone down, and that's not what the doctor ordered for Mito here.
Completely agree. Those cavalry were really being extremely efficient right there, idling at least 20 villagers, if not more. And then at the end, 3 Hussars getting picked up by the pikemen. It was in Mito's favor, and then it swung right back into A's. A's also taking down this trade post, so I want to give somewhat of an advantage to A's as of right now. There's so many hunts, so many resources, and is getting these early trades in.
But for example, we do have 40 settlers for the British player because of the funding of mana population off the Virginia Company card and then into 700 wood. Elected to send 5 settlers instead of 600 wood afterwards. We do have 5 Hussars making their way to the back of the base. Only 4 pikemen on the field. These settlers do not have the Vil HP, but they do have steel traps. So a small eco price to pay, but we do have A's clicking up before the French player. This is, again, a little different to what we normally would see in this situation. We've got Gangsaw being researched now from A's, so he managed to get all the manas beforehand without Gangsaw, and hopefully beyond Gangsaw as well, while he was on the market, queuing the Greatcoats.
Yeah, absolutely. So both players clicking up. Let's see. So they both kind of power their economies a little bit in the second age, and then both jump to the Fortress age. Reminiscent of Game 1, now that I think of it, even though the civilizations are different. Both civilizations obviously have access to the Falconet shipment and some really quality H3 units. So I want to say that this game is slightly in favor of A's, but still anyone's to take.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. I think one thing to notice as well is that A's did train units in Age 2, but if you look at units lost, 0 settlers went down for the British player, and Mito had to sacrifice 3 Hussars, getting quite a lot of idle time off, but being caught by the pikemen as well, and going for an early town centre from Mito, so he's thinking that A's has gone greedy himself. He will have enough time to drop down a town centre, and if he's dropping down a town centre first, then I would expect the first card to be shipped from Mito in the third age would be 1,000 wood.
Yeah, I wonder if he will. I feel like, yes, he should, given that he's 49 out of 50 population and he has no villagers on wood, so I agree with you on that one. I noticed that Mito opted for the fast age, so maybe that gets his town center up slightly quicker.
There we go.
There's the 1,000 wood.
Yeah.
Good call from you. Yep. And let's see. But is this second town center going to be enough for Mito to catch up economically, though? That's what it boils down to, right?
Well, you don't have to out-gather the British, because on balance, I could say that the French units in Age 3 are stronger than the British units in Age 3. You just need to kind of play smart, take good trades, but 2 town centers producing CDB with both, steel traps, placer mines, sound economy behind it. I don't think there'd be too much concern. There's 4 coin mines under safe control for Mito for the time being, and so I expect a lot of skirmishers and dragoons to be produced well late into the match here, and 1,000 coin followed by Mito here, and I'm not going to call an F5 for the time being, because he only had the 2 cards in the 4th age, so this is just getting the housing down, getting the town centre down, getting that population in queue, and then use the 1,000 coin to fund off production. He does have a lot of villagers on the food, but for the time being, it also has maybe a lot on the wood, and judging by, we do have a raid on the top, 3rd town centre bottom left, cavalry raid on the top, and in terms of units lost, I still don't think A's has actually lost anything. Yeah, it's just that 1 pike, and A's also has got 1,000 foods now in bank, so a lot of this could be a high eco game, a lot of resources. Nobody's really going for the early age 3 pushing, and both players are going for extra town centers here. So, town center either side for Mitoe. Aizamk's dropping a town center left side on the hunt. Up to 200 mana population, and assumed that he's got all of them down currently. So, we're in. I think we're in for a long one, Cammy. I hope you're excited for this one.
I am. I'm actually liking the setup of this game. These town centers from Mitoe are, protecting these resources, getting map control on his side of the map, and then A's, boomed during his transition, so he has a very, very strong economy, and he's putting down a town center as well. So you're right. We're in it for the long haul. I'm interested in this 5 Hussar shipment that A sent. I don't quite understand it as opposed to. Maybe some crates as well, or something. But he's a better player than I am, so I'm not gonna.
It may be that Mitoe had some cavalry presence on the field as well, and if you're aging up to the 3rd age, you could either wait for your dragoons or skirmishers being production, but you could also squeeze in another batch of hussars. And if you had 10 or 15 hussars running rampant through the British player's base, without any way to kind of snare and catch them, then maybe that's probably the safest play. It's also useful that if you wanted to push a fight, you can always pull back your cavalry units. But if you're pulling back a 10 longbow shipment, sometimes they can get really sniped at. But small minor details. Look at these coin mines. So you split 4 or 5 vills on each. Like this should prolong the life of each mine, but also reduce the walking time. You don't want 20 on one mine and then go to this mine, and then all 20 villagers go to that mine. So, Mitoe's got the map control, he's got the line of sight down, but he's also got the kind of, the consciousness to try and make his villagers try and walk from one resource to another as least as possible. He's managed to herd in this hunt as well, which was near enough mid-map and in no man's land, but it's under his control. He's brought his hunt on the right-hand side under his, behind the TC as well, because that was in front of the TC when he dropped it down. And so, I think Mitoe is... Again, I'm liking both players' situations, and Mitoe's 3rd card though is 1,000 food. I didn't see that one in the deck.
Yeah, I noticed it when it came in. Kind of an interesting build out of Mitoe, which is 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. This 3K crate, kind of
combination
strategy.
Yeah,
I want to say, and Mitoe has had the room to put down 2 extra town centers, send all these crates, whereas A's has sent 5 hussars and a cavalry upgrade. So Mitoe's economy is catching up to A's pretty quickly here, believe it or not. And now this native trade post right here, the Apache one, is being taken as well. Interesting. I wonder if A's didn't give Mitoe just slightly too much room. And here we have some cavalry coming in for a raid. So many dragoons from Mitoe. Just doing what they want.
But that's where the 1,000 wood came in to drop down. I assume he's got 2 stables around, unless he's just continuously pumped out these dragoons. But being caught from behind from the musketeers and longbows. Both units are very good against the dragoons, and we've got colonial hussars running through. A few musketeers in hand combat doing decent damage, and before an upgrade card comes in like cav combat, that's a lot of damage to take on for these units already. And big raid coming in the south with all these hussars, cavalry combat. Cavalry Couriers and the veteran hussars. These are tanky units, 464 HP, and still going onto the massive skirmishers. The dragoons are out of position. They're making their way back quickly, but this could be a big raid top right as well for the CDBs on this deer hunt. And yeah, Mitoe
absolutely.
Extended.
Yeah, no kidding. Those dragoons positioned sort of to the northwest of the map, so A's took advantage of it and did like this huge hussar run by. So many villagers went down. If I go to the units lost tab, it looks like 10 CDB have gone down.
It's not just the villagers though. Like it's also 17 skirm for about 10 to 12 hussars dropped in that little engagement there and then, and combines the units and the economic. That's just put Mitoe back so far for the time being. And just imagine if the 1,000 food was like another unit shipment or an upgrade at that point. That could have really stabilised. He's only just sent the 2 falconets now and should get decent volleys onto the longbowmen. But these longbows are being microed onto the dragoons, and the dragoons are taking a lot of damage just for these wood and food units. And yes, one shots come off from the falconet, but not picking up too much. These dragoons are going a bit too far though. We've got hussar reinforcements, but look at the dragoon count; it's going down.
It really is. The dragoon count is dwindling. Mitoe has been hemorrhaging dragoons for a little bit now. 5 cures coming down, so these longbows are pretty much toast. But I think that A's was kind of fine trading that longbow mass for the value he got out of them. And he has the economy to really mass up again pretty quickly behind this, whereas Mitoe's is...
Oh my god, look at this! The Hussars coming around, Falconets exposed.
Yes, they are. Are they going to get it?
Out of position, and he's trying to pull trick the Falconets to the back. And I think he's just got that, but maybe one Falconet's going down. But this is a huge commitment from Ace to try and pick up the Falconet. One goes down, but I think the other Falconet lives, and that was like 7 Hussars, 10 Longbows, and you still got 3 nearby picked up. So that was a bait, and Ace fell. I wouldn't say he fell for the bait. He saw an opportunity, tried to sneak in there. However, Mitoe's quick reaction of trying to group the skirmishers and the Falconets together and either clicking ahead or behind it to switch the army position saved both the Falconets and picked up a good trade there.
He really did. I wonder if Ace is okay with inefficient trades just because his economy is better. But now we have a contention right here. The cuirassiers are coming in. These Falconets are kind of tucked away. These Longbowmen are also tucked away behind these trees in the outpost, which is where they want to fight. They just want to sit there and fire off their arrows.
Falconets were doing a lot of damage there to the cuirassiers.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like players will think, okay, Falconets counter infantry, just aim for the infantry. But you know, the danger there for Aizamk was the heavy cavalry of the French player. So once those volleys were hitting the French players and they went down, we do see a 3 cuirassier raid on the right-hand side, but you know,
not accomplishing too much with that raid. Only 3
moving some away, but like look at the recalc population of the British players. 74 villagers currently on the table for Ace. That is a lot. And what I was about to say before it all kicked off in Mitoe's betas, if you actually look at Mitoe's deck, I think there's 2 cards which are missing in the 3rd age, which I'm not saying I would have wanted to see or not wanted to see, but like they're interesting, conscious decisions. We don't see a mercenary shipment of the 10 Jaegers, which has come back into favour recently. And we also don't see an economic upgrade at all of like refrigeration or royal mint. And we see like 1,000 food, 7 skirm, and the skirm attack card as possible substitutes. So no economic card for Mitoe presently. He's gone for a really eco-heavy build with all the CDBs.
No, I'm with you on that one. A lack of economic upgrades and really playing for a tempo sort of game with all these unit shipments and whatnot. These Dragoons getting kind of caught off guard right here.
Well, I like this outpost. That's a smart play.
Yeah.
But
this outpost is going up, which is going to secure this coin mine.
All of Mitoe's back coin mines have run out, and he's had to gather on these forward mid-map coin mines to sustain coin production. But you know, with no other wood cards or land grab or anything else to help the French player, he does have the mill card. I missed that, but no refrigeration or royal mints, and he's got to do something quickly to try and get some stable coin production in, because in a while this is getting pushed off. And yes, Longbow's advancing.
Yeah, look
Both
at that.
the Falconets are still alive, and yeah, Mitoe will need his entire military there to try and safe gather. And Falconets slightly off to the right, but Longbows and Pikes just turn and fight, and got Cuirassiers charging headlong into the Pikes for the time being. And these are veteran Pikes with the infantry breastplate upgrade, which benefit both the Pikemen and the Longbows.
Yeah, absolutely. These pikemen getting kind of like picked off pretty easily. Some Dragoons still stay, and they're around to like push away these cuirassiers. And now these longbowmen are just fighting the skirmishers, which is what they want. We have 2 falconets on the field for the British player, and I feel like Ace is going to be able to push this position pretty. Oh, one last falconet here from Mitoe, getting a volley off on the longbowman.
We do see 9 cuirassiers in queue from the French player from 2 stables, and a dangerously low amount of counter cavalry from the British player. And Hussars from Ace. This is Ace British cavalry onto the skirmishers and the falconet. That is a big pop, and yeah, the 9 cuirassiers on the reinforcements, but the damage being done so far, these are great units versus like longbows and falconets, but they trade effectively versus Hussars. But this is going to be a cleanup on. Yeah, from the A side, the dangerously low amount of counter cavalry. We do have pikemen reinforcements, but the falconets are going down. The longbows will go down, and the Hussars they were needed. They brought so much value from that unit train to make this trade overall all right. And I think we just fall back to the economic side. We do have Ace, who has already sent refrigeration, 8 villages, has the 2nd tier upgrade on the mill card for the food. He's got 6 mills down. It's 6 mills. So much.
Ace doesn't care. He's like, I can afford this. I can afford to go to right to mills, and I don't really care at all. The coins.
Yeah, Mitoe's resigned.
Mitoe just resigns.
No access to coin at that point, and yeah, just look at this economy behind for the British player, and just really, really well kind of. I wouldn't say stabilised from the early fortress stage from French, but basically, I think he understood that he didn't need to go overly aggressive, but when he did, he kind of caught Mitoe's positioning of the Dragoons on the left-hand side out, and that pickup of 10, 12 CDB and 17 skirms, that was really huge.
It was. I completely agree with your assessment on that one. Such an interesting game. I really like how these the series is 1-1 as of right now.
Yeah.
And 20-minute games each time. Some very stable play out of both players. It's subtle. The games are won and lost on small things, which is really what you want to see at a high level. So truly a treat to watch.
We've seen A's in both games so far already dropping down at Arsenal. He dropped an Arsenal for the Spanish game. He dropped an Arsenal now for the British game. He did have the Advanced Arsenal available in both his decks. In A's, he's got the Advanced Arsenal now, but in the Spanish deck, he did have Advanced Arsenal instead of Unction or the Church Guard. So that may be a play style you might see from A's a little bit forward, because one of the improvements from the Advanced Arsenal is the speed upgrade for infantry, and I think it's either 10 or 20%. Or 15, one of the two. But if it was 20%, like Musketeers go from 4 speed to 4.8, and that's actually a very fast change and can run away from skirmisher units, can outpace villagers, and actually become very, very dangerous just because of that one single upgrade. So looking out for that further in the next couple of games. Not much else to say on this one though, but that early miss of XP from Mitoe was really costly.
It was. I think that's kind of not quite when the game tipped on its. I looked it up, by the way. It's 10% speed.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. But I think A's managed to eke out small advantage after small advantage after small advantage, and they just built up. And he never let go of his lead, which is just fantastic play out of A's. A's, by the way, is locking in Germany on ESOC Florida. Florida is one of my favorite maps. I love its look. I love its layout, its resources. I like everything about this map.
So one thing I've noticed about Florida, I've counted quite a few tournament games already, and Florida seems to always come up just because how the map cycle through for each round, but also change per division, and it seems like the Florida, Arkansas, Colorado have basically been most featured early on in the tournament, and maybe come in as a later map as the finals approach. But I've only seen one player really go water so far, and it wasn't actually like an early water play. It was Kaiser Klein French versus Japan, and after sending a caravel to clear up any of the fishing boats, he only picked up 3 fishing boats of his opponents, but realised he had safe access to the water then, already had a dock down, caravel to prevent anything being thrown up by the Japanese player, managed to produce about 20, 24 fishing boats and secured all the whales for that strategic secondary income of coin, which is a much cheaper investment than chucking down 2 or 3 plantations as well as a plantation upgrade. So I think what I was really impressed by that game was the knowledge of maybe, hang on a minute, I got an opportunity here to further expand my economy in a non-conventional way, and I think that because that transition was also quite smooth, you produce one boat at a time. There was never an abruption of, hang on, I'm out of coin. Where Mitoe last game, because his coin mines at the back ran out and had to move his settlers forward, there's a sudden decrease of coin income at that point, which you could see on the military mass. He managed to save enough and maybe sell a bit of resources to try and get that big batch of cuirassiers, but it just came a little bit too late with the Hussar shipment beforehand, and just, I think if they had a few more coin mines available for Mitoe, that game could have gone on, but I think, ran out of coin at that point.
Yeah, no, I agree with your your way of thinking it. A lot of Age of Empires 3 games end up being lost or won based off the natural resources on the map, and obviously there are exceptions to this. So yes, to what you were saying, I agree with your analysis. And now we have finally clicked into Mitoe playing French and a French versus German matchup on Florida.
There's a lot of coin mines on this map, as well as at least a guaranteed one safe defensive coin mine. And looking at the map already, we do have one top right and one kind of the 8 o'clock bottom left position, both defensive. And the other coin mines are out and about. We do have 2 to left though, so maybe. Yeah, you got two of Mitoes out front here. 1, 2, 4. I think both players at least got 3 reasonable coin mines they can move on to. So I'm happy with the map balance. And hang on a minute though. Look at the hunts. Look at the hunts. 1, 2, 3. That's like 4 defensive hunts there. 1 up front. Do you think we should read this map? I actually want to call a re at this point.
Let me have a look. 5 vs 5.
But it's also position. It's also positioning that you got so many behind.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm gonna call.
You can call for a re.
I'm gonna call for a re at this point.
Are the scores updated or not? I don't know. I cannot see your point of view. Okay, got it. Hold on.
Yeah, but well, I mean, if Maya wants to play, well, I'm trying to help Mitoe here. It's not a fair map. It's
oh well.
Yeah, so both players have well, Aizamk's resigned now and hope we go for a re, but hopefully Mitoe can go. Actually, fair play. That does not look. Come on, Mitoe. Stop putting me on the spot here, but look at these safe hunts from A's behind.
Yeah, he.
Okay, actually, these are turkey hunts, though. I have maybe over-exaggerated.
No, I understand why you saw the map the way you did. If you look at the hunts, a lot of them are, behind A's, whereas Mitoe. Like, I was on the fence on this one for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But no worries. No worries at all.
I mean, okay, like, for example, if that was the French player, as a German player, you'd be a bit upset that your Uhlans can't get great raiding because all your villas behind the base are quite safe. So I think it goes both ways, especially where Mitoe's second and third, or should I say third coin mine was out and about in a little bit, but Aizamk's third coin mine again was this really defensive position, which it's quite far from CC, but so out of the way and could be ward off, protected, and escape route via the TP. So I'm justified in calling this re.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Let's move on. So, that was game number 3, and Mitoe win that one, so on to game number 4, hooray!
Yeah, he's picking up a quick 30-second victory on that one. Really excellent play out of him. And of course, we're going to wish Mitoe a happy birthday.
Was it actually Mitoe's birthday the other day, or is that just a recurring of the meme? It is.
You are asking the wrong person. For me, it is always a meme until it is Mitoe's birthday, and then it's still a meme.
Does Mitoe even have an official birthday? Like, I'd love it if Mitoe actually turns and says, "Oh, actually, my birthday is the 29th of February on the leap year." So he's actually 10 years old.
Yeah, no,
or even younger. I'm happy with this map. Just have a quick look at the hunts already. A little more fair for both players. Coin mines are happy, so I'm good for this one.
Yes, indeed. And it looks like it's 200 wood start again. So the map is the same as,
Yeah.
The map setup. Excuse me. The crate setup is the same as before. So little has changed. So awesome. We're headed into game number 3. And I'll let you introduce these players once again.
So we are currently in game number 3 on the second attempt. First map was rehosted for map balance reasons, and we do see A's picking as the German civilizations, considering that he won the last game on Arizona. He's playing as the German spawn in the bottom left, Colour Blue, where Mitoe has counterpicked with the French civilization. I wouldn't go as far as more of a counterpick, but I think in this case Mitoe is very comfortable with how French plays and how this matchup plays as well, because he also is a very strong expert in German gameplay, so he knows where to kind of force the issue and try and exploit his favourite civ's weaknesses as well. We do see on the map, we do have quite a lot of sheep's being gathered up already by the French player, sending this native scout forwards, picking up 2 central sheep, but also scouting past and could possibly pick up a 3rd and 4th in the centre point. We do have Aizamk's explorer moving left, seeing a 135 coin treasure. Very tough to take it on early on, and he may want to spend 1 crack shot and come back at a later point. He does have a 100 XP alligator treasure, which could have been really useful for the German player early on, but both players do have that early TP, so maybe, again, not needed. Anything else to say from your ends there, Cammy?
Sorry, I was kind of like sitting down and looking at both the past games from the previous series for both players and trying to see if this matchup in particular came up. It did not. I saw some similar matchups, but I was listening, and yeah, the French player picking up a bunch of sheep. It's not a negligible advantage. Those sheep really do add up if you get a ton of them with the native scout, and then Mitoe picking up some 80 wood.
It's already 5 sheep, and Mitoe has scouted out this very safe sheep at the back. I've no idea how that wasn't converted. Maybe he scouted the native, and the native illuminated behind, but it's also next to a 75 wood treasure, so I'm sure Mitoe has scouted that and earmarked that as a place for his explorer to move on, but he's also seen a 90 coin treasure, so with the market down already, but coin treasures are quite actually beneficial to both players. So we've seen A's already working his way onto this 135 coin treasure. So maybe if he came back, picked it up and crackshotted it, he could get the coin and buy another batch of wood, considering both players start with a market.
Yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. The market start kind of changes the value of these different treasures in Age 1. Looks like Mitoe picking up 90 coin. I did see A's pick up his 100 XP treasure, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, 100 XP before his first shipment. It's pretty useful as well. Or was it before his first shipment? Am I wrong? I was not paying close enough attention.
Well,
but
both players have shipped their first shipment at 210 and 215 essentially, and that suggests that they got the XP from the TP of the houses, but possibly before the first pass came in, or if they did have their first pass come in, it wasn't like it's 100% of the XP went straight into the next shipment. Maybe like only 20 XP was needed to get that shipment in queue, so slightly earlier shipments coming in, but nothing too out of the blue for both players considering how long this training post line actually is there. So maybe the early TP in this map, again, useful to get the XP in, but not game-changing for the time the first shipment sent. Both players currently aging up and starting to hunt in their hunts. We do have Mitoe being very wise and herding in his both front hunts to start off with and leaving his smaller turkey hunt towards the back. We do see a slightly forward coin mine in the French player's base, so may want to kind of put down a house, maybe a wall segment, or maybe put a stable, because the horizontal stable is a good wall section at this point, but he needs to do something to kind of protect that, because that will be exposed to the German players Ulan raiding. We do have a... Oh my... What on earth? Jeez. That is... What is going on? That is a lot of settlers just to move to a forward coin mine, especially got one in base, not touched, and a defensive coin mine behind. One settler herding at the bottom, and I'm unsure about this.
Yep, that is definitely one of the stranger things I have ever seen. Period, really. 5 forward settlers, 6 if you count the hunting one. I wonder if this is not a bid to get map control in this location.
So A's already has 200 woods for some sort of building. I think he's looking to drop a proxy barracks or stable at that point. Just by the waypoint, but also he's got the 2 TPs down, so he's chopped so much wood for that. He probably got the coin coin gatherers here to actually buy some more wood from the market, and we see settler wagons gathering up the 400 wood. One settler, dropping a proxy stable, and is not going to be scouted by the French player, and we can see.
Yeah, no, exactly. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
I think I understand these villagers right here. I think he doesn't want this mine to have any villagers on them, and this is like a total cheese. This is totally, it's a risk. But
I've just got it.
Having these over here Mito's not going to see any villagers on coin whatsoever, and the stable is also hidden. Mito is completely blind. This is almost StarCraft-esque kind of a photon cannon rush cheese thing. So we'll see how that goes because Mito has slapped down a stable and a a barracks, even though he will be producing musketeers.
Yeah. I'm not too sure what you described as exactly what I was thinking, but just imagine if Mitoe was moved his scout a little bit earlier towards a coin mine, saw no coin, and started producing units to defend the crossbow pike rush, and then actually then gets destroyed by an Ulan coming in from the side. And yes, 4 Ulans from the left hand side, less than a 5 Ulan batch. We do have 2 Ulans already in the base, belling up some French villagers, and we do have the full 5 batch from Mitoe as a first unit batch from the stables, and that is actually, very well played for Mitoe, and 5 musketeers, so he's going to be very happy gathering all his hunts in his base quite safely. He's got steel traps as well, place of mines. He's in a very good situation for the time being, considering this proxy racks, the villagers moving up to get a coin, so at the moment, the momentum's on Mitoe's side, but we see that Aze is taking on some outlaws down here to pick up another Iroquois Tomahawk, but a big raid coming in. 5 Hussars might get sandwiched by the Ulans both sides, but we do have the reinforcement batch of musketeers, and these are the standard European musketeers, not the Russian ones. They're quite strong in hand versus cavalry, especially with the low HP from the Ulans. Like, this is be a very good trade for Mitoe if he stays away from the base. More Ulans being produced or sent from the reinforcement shipments, and as proxy stable, these Ulans are nowhere near the fight.
Yep, musketeers going into hand combat mode.
Minutemen being popped out, focusing on the musketeers, it looks like. And yeah, 4 reinforcement batch of Ulans from behind, and actually a good trap from Aizamk to clear up this mass, but
at what cost?
Yeah, I mean, I think
so many Ulans.
I mean, I think that's bought the time Mitoe needed actually, but he's still got 500 coin shipments available, as in being gathered up, and all the rest of the villagers gathering food and coin. He does have a livestock down for his sheep as well, so, and these Hussars are still pulling the units around, and 2 barracks is being dropped from Aizamk. And have you seen A's car progression? 3 settler wagons into 2 settler wagons.
Yeah, no kidding. He maxing out his economy early on, at least going for the long-term growth as opposed to the medium-term growth, which is crates. Slapping down 2 barracks at this point. I just don't know what this stable accomplished, if anything.
I mean, who knows? Like in 10 minutes' time, we might have French villagers pushing out into these 2 hunts, and we going, "Oh my God, 5 Volans about to be queued up from the stable, about to pop on," but we'll have to wait and see. So this settler heavy build, we only see steel traps so far from the German player. So maybe room to get he's getting the great coats now, but maybe room for place of mines and Gangsaw to help get the resources needed to age up. He's sent 8 expos and trained 8 pikes, so again, Mitoe is going for the standard semi-FF play with sheeps available, use the 700 coin to age up, but once Mitoe sees the 8 bows, he's thinking, okay, this is strange, but once he sees the 8 pikes, his heart rate is going to go a bit faster. He knows that Aizamk's in to try and get a bit of damage, and 3 cavalry units out so far. He does have near enough 2 shipments available, 1 about to be sent, and we've got to see what's going to be in Unit Q, because only the stable's going to survive, and yes, 4 Dragoons already queued up straight away. Needs to have enough resources to queue Minutemen as well, so maybe take out one of these sheep while you can, but let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, no kidding. Aiz has some infantry units that he has to work with at this point, whereas Mitoe is kind of at a weak point where he doesn't have any units up and he just spends so many resources on aging. But I had a feeling that Aiz's army does not have enough weight to it to have a real lasting effect. All Mitoe has to do at this point, stabilize. 1 CDB going down, 2 coming out.
Trying to use from the stable to stabilize. Thank you guys. I'm all here all week. Skirmisher pop out to the south right, and hopefully enough resources for Minutemen, but no sheep's been eaten for the time being. Minutemen is not been in queue. We do have Hussars onto the skirmishers. Dragoons having to reinforce, but Minutemen at this point be really needed. We do have no HP on the CDB, so CDBs might fall down as well. And actually, so far, all things considered, that was a good hold from Mitoe actually.
It really is. As you mentioned, the Minutemen were not affordable at that point, but Mitoe kind of used the CDB instead to body block and give these ranged units, Dragoons and Skirmishers, enough wiggle room to kind of push away these colonial units. And now Mitoe's units are the same number as Aiz's, but they're vastly superior. And I feel like the momentum of the game is just straight into Mito's.
I don't know. I don't want to see Mitoe push out too early though, because he can get like a bit more of a mass. Instead of having 5 dragoons, have 15 and 10 skirmishes, and he just ran straight into Ulans and pikemen. So he's lost 2 already from the kind of crossbow fight. He has picked up some units as a result, and I think going out with dragoons is safe. Going out with skirmishers is not as safe. But I guess good control from both players, especially at this level of gameplay, can actually squeeze the optimal use out of each unit. So he's making sure that dragoons are firing onto the pikemen and the cav, while the skirmishers are there to prod onto the expos if he can. But I think I just want to see Mitoe eat these sheep, because this is the point where you really want to invest those resources to get that military advantage, especially now that you've aged up a little bit before. Just imagine having many more villagers onto coin instead of having to chop for wood, and just having a kind of a reshape economy. Yes, looks like he's got 2 CDBs starting to go through the sheep. Looks at 6 actually. He's starting to. They're all fat now at 300, so he's going to go for that. And yes, let's go for his first 2 shipments so far for Mitoe. Has been 8 skirm and 5 dragoons just to kind of hold. And this is a big raid, but it's only dragoons and skirmishers, so a few will go down here, but it's not as disastrous as a 5 Ulan or 5 Kyocera raid.
Yeah, I agree. These villagers just getting pushed. I mean, 2 villagers did go down. A good pickup nonetheless. But A's did follow Mitoe up to the next age. His economy is they're fairly equal at this point, except for the sheep income that Mitoe has, as you pointed out. Germany has some big shipments that could swing the game, obviously, and these skirmishers over here are poking and doing some good work.
This is why native scout stealth mode right on this hunt can see exactly what's down there. And for the time being, though, Mitoe has used 3 Fortress Age shipments of 8 skirm, 5 dragoon, 7 skirm, but his mass behind it isn't there. Whereas A's just being able to send his first shipment of 3 war wagons, but training a batch of 10 skirms and getting veteran Ulans in behind us now, I think the trading post play from Aizamk's going to really pay off here. He did send in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colonial age shipments, but I'd like to say he's maybe got another one on the queue at this moment in time. But if not, he'll have another card come in at the moment. That could be, well, that could be anything. That could be, the 1,000 wood coin, Ulans.
Yeah, both players have a bunch of options out in front of them. That one lone villager getting picked off. Probably the proxy stables. This stables is actually still there, which is amusing.
I mean, like, what you can do is siege with 10 siege dragoons. Like, you can take it down, but the time you actually buy for the other player taking it down, and 200 wood is expensive, but it's not that expensive, especially when you have villagers already chopping the wood, gang saw, enough wood in bank as well. Possibly can buy a bit from here and there from the market. We do see A's having 1,000 food at the moment, so he has transitioned some villas off to the bottom right into kind of onto the trees there to help out. And yes, he's gone through his home mine, but he's got access to his safe defensive as well as the dropping an outpost on his forward coin mine. I swear there's normal settlers here, but they must have moved off somewhere else.
Yeah, they must have done so. Stable came under fire, but it gets pushed away by Aizamk.
So we got 9 veteran Ulans being sent from Aizamk. However, this dragoon mass from Mitoe is actually very impressive. He's going to go headlong to the skirmishers. So don't do that. Fall back and wait for the falconets. Yes, the falconets have just come in, and looking at the military population, we have 19 dragoons on the field for Mitoe, 24 skirms, 2 falconets. But A's is down in the skirm mass. He's only got 3 war wagons and 17
He's
veteran
down
Ulans.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Well, these are really out of position. Oh no! Move the pikemen! Move the pikemen! Move the pikemen! Oh, it's so sad when you have he's microing that specifically, but I don't know what he's waiting for. Maybe he's going for like a big raid behind or swinging in from behind, but with this many dragoons, I really want to have maybe 3 more war wagons. Nothing too silly, but try and get some skirmishes and ideally a Jägership. Swinging in from both sides. 5 Ulans left side, all Ulan mass right side, taking down the skirmishers, the dragoons first. War wagons slowly moving in with the skirmisher mass, and these falconets are really well protected. And the dragoons have got nowhere to run. If they run, they expose the falconets. So these dragoons go down to hand combat, and these dragoons have range resist, not hand resist. So good damage output from the veteran Ulans as well onto the units they directly get countered by. But all in all, the falconets did a decent damage. Dragoons are still on the state, still up for Mitoe. Decent skirm mass behind us at 19 versus 7 of Aizamk, and A's needs to do something to maybe pull back his skirmishers and try and keep them alive or something, because at the moment the entire army might get cleaned up. He's at risk of this.
That was such an interesting engagement for so many reasons. Those falconets were perfectly tucked away by the silver mine and the dragoons, and the Ulans were getting in the face of the Ulans traded better than I thought they would. Mito ends up on top after that entire fight with a larger skirm mass, but it was interesting nonetheless because A's went into that with less military unit population. So again, such an interesting engagement. I want to give the advantage to Mito at this point. Really has everything going for him, whether it's economy, military unit mass, map control too. At this point,
he's got slightly different decks from the last time. He's dropped the ranged infantry attack in third age and 1,000 food, and got refrigeration and the frigate instead. We do have a 3 Cuirassier raid on the bottom right. All these units are grouped together. This is a lot of damage, but no units. Only one set has just gone down just yet. But these settler wagons, you don't want to lose that. That's 3 villager equivalent gone down so far, and yes, the entire army is moving each way to the right side. Another settler wagon gone down. That's 5 now for the time being, and with more Cuirassiers reinforcing, Jaeger's been shipped from Aizamk. That was the shipment he needed beforehand. Maybe he couldn't afford it, but 13 Jaegers is enough.
Are coming in. They're just what anti-cav does A's have?
There is no Ulans on the field. There's no war wagons. It's just the ranged cavalry, and these 8 heavy cavalry units from the French player are just going to go down onto these units. These are not protected. Minutemen have already been used previously from A's. There's nothing to protect this. Units in queue. Are you going to see Doppelsonders? No, just 3 war wagons. But the stable is stable's just popped out. 3 war wagons here, but these Cuirassiers. There's hardly any Jaegers remaining. All the skirmishes are gone, but a few Jaegers remaining. But
that's GG.
GG.
That was the nail in the coffin right there. Excellent, wonderful game.
That is so sad just to see like a high-level game just end by ranged units being caught out by heavy cavalry, because that's a mistake we've all done in the past, but possibly not reflection of each player's true skill level, shall I say? Well, Mitoe currently 2-1 at this point, and yeah, that was an interesting game for many reasons, like we've talked about. The side stable, villagers moving around, colonial age push into the French players based on the German, training 8 pike, putting down 2 barracks in age 2, sending 8 crossbows, pushing all together, only picking off 1 villager, not doing too much, no real infrastructure being taken down. And yeah, when Mitoe in age 3 fed off all these 6 sheep or 7 sheep, he managed to eat them together, good eco upgrades, and at one point he pushed out with like 3-4 dragoons, and then next time I looked he had about 10 around, and then for some reason afterwards he had 25 on the field. I was like, wow, where have these come from?
You analyzed the game pretty well there. Mitoe just slightly had the entire time and just kind of cinched the win off of that. Those sheep were quite the factor, and that started from 10 seconds into the game when the French native scout helped get those sheep in the first place.
Also, I've noticed in the villager population a little bit of it might be just where the settler wagon shipment comes in, but before and after that shipment, there's a little bit of idle time from the TC from A's, costing him maybe about 1 to 2, maybe 2 settlers in total in terms of idle time, with a bit of raiding from the French player afterwards. The French player, the entire match, only lost to 1 CDB, and from a civilization like Germany, who specialise in raiding and try and put some pressure on the opponent due to the cav race, shall I say. Mitoe only losing 1 CDB after he advanced to the Fortress Age, I think it's very well played for Mitoe and shows his skill level, not losing many units beforehand. And I think he did go for that cav semi-FF. Maybe he did train 2 batches of hussars, I believe. So yes, a batch of 5 and a batch of 5 hussars, 5 musketeers. So a mixture. Is like a Sam Wise build, but he sent 4 CDB first, shall I say. He got to the semi Fortress Age, but this early push from the German before he got to age 3, that got cleaned up pretty quickly actually once that skirmish shipment in. And just imagine if Mitoe had the Minutemen available as well. But afterwards, pushing out and just charging 20 Ulans into a large mass of dragoons didn't get the job done, and they traded equally, considering Aizamk had less numbers, but afterwards 35 population to 0. Hessian Jaegers came in, but all the Ulans went down, all the war wagons went down, and they were just unprotected.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was hard. I want to give some credit to A's nonetheless, because it's a little difficult when right after a big engagement, your unit composition isn't perfect. You're going to have too much anti-cav, you're not going to have enough, or something like that. So I think he just never ended up getting enough time to get up his anti-cav mass again after that engagement, and Mitoe just kind of jumped on that opportunity, which is something that professional, top level players are really good at.
So
Ace in particular.
yeah, so
Even though not in his favor.
Mitoe won the last game was French and avenged his French defeat to the British in Arizona, and now has picked the civilization first, and he's gone for China, which I'm excited by. We have not seen enough China this tournament so far. It's in a decent situation. I think some players are still adjusting to the change to the crates to start off with, but Mitoe going for a first pick of China is just allowing Aizamk to kind of counter civ him.
China's a fairly popular civilization on Arkansas, I've noticed, and I will say this though: China is personally one of my favorite civilizations in the game. I love their units; they're really unique. The play style of China is pretty atypical compared to the other European civs. And these new changes, somewhat controversial, but I think as you said, the players are just adjusting to it and learning from it.
Yes, I think we just had a subscription come in.
Did we now? Oh, yes, we did.
Chat for that one.
The subscription is TV Total.
Hey,
subscribe
nice
Twitch Prime. Been subscribed for 5 months actually, so thank you so much, TV Total. That's a lot of help right there.
As soon as you said that name, I haven't guessed the 5 months, but it's a name we all know. I think he's been around the scene for quite a while. I want to say just a generic Age of Empires fan, plays other games as well. But it's kind of hard trying to remember who's from who and who's from which game, especially when you have eyes on this game, a bit of Age of Mythology, the Titans, and a tiny bit on Age of Empires 2. But you can't see so many names coming around, so many different accounts. You just go, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, that subscription is appreciated, TV Total. Thank you so much for that. And
while we got a bit of downtime, I just want to put it out there. I would love to see Age of Empire 3 players try and play in an Age of Mythology like weekend tournament. Like, I'll be down for casting so many of those games because it's interesting. Because I think quite a lot of these games, for the time being, it's a mixture of macro, micro control, but also game knowledge and strategy. But if you put some of these top players in uncomfortable situations, I think we'll have some interesting games. And it wouldn't go as far as upsets, but you may see middle tier players kind of in the major kernel ranks in Age of Empires 3 take some big games, some big wins off some of the top level players. When you kind of wipe the slate clean of knowledge and have a different game going on.
I agree.
Have you ever played Age of Mythology?
I dabbled in it maybe for less than 10 games. I did try to pick it up back in the days of Age Sanctuary, because Aizamk used to host both Age of Empires 3 and Age of Mythology, Age of Titans. Those were the big two titles that they had. Oh, sorry, I'm not green. So yeah, I'm actually kind of curious as to that as well. Age of Mythology was an excellent title in its own right. It was really popular with
absolutely loved it. As a kid, that was my favorite game, I think. But that's all kind of dream in the past. We're about to jump into game number 4 here on Arkansas.
Ace picked up Russians versus Chinese. Such an interesting. I mean, all the Chinese matchups are interesting for me personally, but I do like this one as well.
Well, welcome back, guys. We're joined into game number 4 here on Arkansas. Mitoe winning the last game as the French civilization has chosen to play as the Chinese civilization, and he's going to be spawning on the left-hand side of the map in his favourite colour, teal, where Aizamk, who's chosen to play as the Russian civilization, is going to spawn on the right-hand side, and we do see a woods crate start, so and possibly food as well. So the Chinese are going to have a great start with the 300 woods and the extra food crate available. We see Mitoe possibly going straight for the TP, but he's stopped for the 40 food, so hopefully he's not going to go for his nearby TP, otherwise he's going to miss that pass, so he's going to have to maybe go for the middle selection already, but stopping off for the 40 food, not necessarily the most optimal play, and if he's going to this bottom left for this TP, he's going to miss that first pass, so he is, so maybe maybe he knows that it's very risky to get that pass anyway, so it's such a short route anyway. I don't think it overly matters, and I think I've seen it before. Even if you manage to get that pass in, I don't think it gives you the shipment straight away. So actually, in terms of how impactful that early TP is not absolutely changing, because you'll see his TP pass come in and it'll give him XP, but maybe not enough to get that first shipment in. But
Yeah,
in the
absolutely. It's
meantime,
not like Arizona, you
yeah,
know.
in the meantime, we see Mitoe chopping the wood for the village, and Aizamk I saw going for an early market here, as well as hunting dog, so making good use of that 200 wood start for the Russians, but not necessarily the most standard thing which the Russian player does. And yeah, the 100 food treasure being scouted out by the Chinese player, it's going to directly help his age up time.
Ooh, but Ace is gonna spot it. Ace is gonna walk right into this treasure and take a crap on Mito's day here, possibly.
Well,
Because he had slipped by, but
it depends if Ace picks this up, and I think Mito's just decided actually, you know what, I'm not going to do this. But the problem is, as soon as that stun wears off, that outlaw rifle is going to help Ace, and it's not fight. Why is it not fighting?
I wonder if it's probably a mechanic that
he's got in. Did you see that? He waited for Mitoe to have to path around his own disciple, so he's away from the treasure. Crackshot comes in, and Mitoe is away from the treasure and unable to take it. And can he get his disciple down as well? He's getting ahead. Bit of melee on. Two shots. Take it.
Oh yeah, I think the disciple's going down.
One more.
There's one last hit. No, the disciple just barely gets away, which is a pretty good. I mean, Mitoe is unhappy with that entire exchange, 100%. Getting his treasure stolen, the disciple is almost dead. The monk is kind of like kicking the Russian explorer away, but Aze is pretty happy with that exchange right now.
Also, hopefully, like in terms of Aze's point of view, if the Chinese explorer gets a bit bored and wants to return to pick up some of these other decent treasures on the map, if they are spawned, we do see a bear cub being in the middle of the map, not great. Top, we've done the 4 CDBs. We have 80 XP, nothing too much over here, 2 stray sheep. But yeah, I'm about to say, Aze has scouted this food treasure with his herding villager, so if as soon as he knocked the Explorer of Chinese away, free access to another 75 food, which is really easy to pick up for a European Explorer.
Yeah, no, for sure. Aze is just rolling on a roll right now because, he stole that treasure and then he gets bumped away by the Chinese monk and then he comes back and just picks up another 75 food treasure. He's going to age so quickly thanks to this.
Do you reckon Mitoe's thought this is like a food treasure and he's going to be very disappointed when he picks up a black bear cub, which is not exactly a grizzly bear?
I think Mitoe just picked that up because he wants something as opposed to nothing. And he, the disciple was kind of looking around for treasures. It was like 2 sheep, 80 XP, and that CDB that he probably can't realistically pick. Oh, maybe this bear cub is to pick up this CDB treasure a little bit more easily in, a minute from now. That's my reasoning. I could be wrong.
So we do see Mitoe dropping the Summer Palace behind his town centre, and I mean, he's got to protect that forward coin mine somehow, and we've got these trees awkwardly placed where he can't drop the Summer Palace there. So maybe that was his only other place he could put it. He could put it to the south side of his village, but that'll be away from town centre fire. I'm a bit concerned though, because Mitoe's forward building is the single village. He hasn't gone for the 2 village build in Age 1, which you would do on a no TP map, shall I say, back in the RE days for China. But like, if that village goes down, it's trouble. And we do have 3 settlers moving forward for Aizamk, and I want to check Aze's deck. I'm gonna guess he's got Suave Reforms in there. No, he does not have Suave, but he does have. Oh, he has Team Cheat Priests. Oh,
I saw that. I kind of snorted to myself.
Aze, this is a very high tier level gameplay situation in a tournament. I don't want to be seeing you shipping Team Cheat Priests and trying to knock Mitoe's confidence down that low. Come on, show the opponent respect. I want to see top level play, but maybe Aze is somehow incorporated into his build.
I want to give a momentum advantage to Aze just because he got so many food treasures early on and all that. Mitoe did pick up the CDB, which is pretty wonderful. It's a good consolation prize.
But so what I'm confused with some pets at the moment. Like recently, we've seen because they've changed the ESOC patch. Shall I say what we're playing on currently right now? Have changed the number of guardians needed to kill to pick up these bears. Some units like the coyote, the tiger, the lion only have a 1.2 modifier against guardians, but the bear treasures, the black bear, and especially the Grizzly Bear has a ×3 multiplier versus Treasure Guardian. So, you know,
I did not know that.
Thank you. It varies between which unit. And I've picked up a Tiger before, thinking, oh, this is a really nice pickup for me, but a bit disappointed because it only has +1 damage compared to the Treasure Guardian and a ×1.2. But like the Grizzly Bear, instead of having the Treasure Guardian's base 10 attack or base 15, it's 27 times by 3. So there's definitely a tier list in terms of converted treasures, or no, pets, shall I say, not Treasure Guardians, but pets to pick up. There's certainly a tier list.
Yeah. I did not know that at all. That's pretty interesting.
There's so many things. You just each time you play this game, thinking, oh, I didn't know that, or I didn't know that. 5 Cossacks, first card out for the Russian players. Well as 5 Musketeers taking on this Chinese trading post. No Chinese reinforcements anywhere nearby, but we do see an early barracks being chopped down by Mitoe, calling the sentries before, and I'm not sure what he needed to call the sentries for. He's going for a fast fortress. He's sent the 700 coin. He's macroing to get the resources in, and yes, he's got the resources needed to drop down the Wonder. He looks like he's dropping down. Ooh, that might be the Skirm Wonder. We'll have to check. Tech's being researched.
I think it's Tower.
No, Porcelain Tower. But
Russia's pushing in.
A's is following up with the TP control. Yeah, he's pushing in with 10 Shredders, 5 Musketeers, 5 Cossacks. The Wander's already down. No villagers gathering it though. If he sees that the Wander's down, he may want to stay around a little bit just to try and keep that Wander from being built from any villagers, because no villagers building Aizamk Wander takes a long time to complete.
Yeah, it does. I think he's going to try to put some more... Oh, he's not. He's actually just going to gather resources as opposed to building this Wonder a little bit more.
But so the thing is, I don't say it's a good play, not a good play, whatever, but if you put 4 villagers on the Porcelain Tower, that's the most that's the most economical to age up, because you have some villagers gathering and some villagers building. If you have no villagers on the Porcelain Tower, the delay on that tower being built actually costs you more resources, as well as not being able to send a fortress stage shipment earlier. So he needs the vills on, and ideally you want like 6 or 8, but the pressure from the Russian player coming in with another batch of Strelets, so he knows there's not been much cavalry on the field for Mitoe in the second age. And I don't think Mitoe's sending a 7-steppy rider shipment early on, so we have to see how he's going to react.
Dude, to Mitoe's credit, he has not lost a single villager yet.
Oh, nice.
That is some top level micro right there.
But I'm just worried, like, essentially how delayed Mitoe's age 3 is going to be, because if he got up ideally with no idle time, had a few villagers on, he'd be up already sending in that first shipment on the way. And because it's the tower and not the skirmishers, these units here are still going to be in this town fighting. They're not being pushed away yet. Like, the sentries are 1 HP, they're not going to scare away these cavalry units anymore. A few Chukanu's, but barracks, I don't think any units being trained. He does have 2 villages in the top right. Constant coming down top right, safe building. So I think that's probably given Aegis a little false sense of security, but he's actually on top here. But no, Mitoe has evacuated villagers to get the crucial buildings down. First settler going down for Mitoe here.
Yeah, finally. I was really giving advantage, to A's just because he aged so quickly and he's been in Mitoe's face for so long. But Mitoe putting up all these buildings on the northern part of the map kind of hidden away, that is pretty good. I think Mitoe's going to stabilize pretty.
Well, so Mitoe has just sent himself 2 shipments, and he's currently on 40 out of 50 pops. So with a currently population of his already about 43, I think he's going to send intervention first card and maybe a coin shipment behind this, or maybe just a single shipment behind units. But I don't think it's like a 10 Arquebusset or Changdao as the first 2 cards. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. We've got Strelets still doing lots of damage, trading really well versus the Steppy Riders, the units of thing. But we've got Stationary Explorer. Monk's being picked, and 5 Meteor Hammers
Hammers.
That is a really good call from Mitoe, and I called the wrong play there, but yes, the ranged cavalry is going to take down your Strelets, but Strelets are cheap units, and he's just going to retreat to his blockhouse and try and defend as best as he can
coming
here.
Out, that's not what you want.
No, but he does have the stable behind producing more Cossacks.
Yeah, these Cossacks kind of have to act like a stopgap anti-cavalry unit at this point. Just
5
using
more Cossacks reinforcing, just being sent. Boyar's been shipped in, so both the Strelets and Boyars are up, and Cossacks upgraded 15 HP in attack. War Academy trying to be thrown up in front of base, but it's not. May not get.
That's a weird angle. Yeah.
Yeah. He has to protect that coin mine somehow. That is what I was talking about earlier. This coin mine needs to be protected. And yes, Strelets walking in. One village going down. No market upgrades on any of the villages because there's no market down at the moment for the time being. And
there's the intervention.
Yes, so he's going to stabilise off the musketeers and the disciplined meteor hammers, but just imagine what the extra 9 skirmishers from the Aizamk Wonder could have done as well, especially with a was it Flying Crow being popped earlier. Pushing a bit too far with the Strats at the moment. You don't go straight into the meteor hammers, but as long as these Strats can just take off and pick off a few musketeers, then A's can go full Cossack. But we've got to remember behind this 3 TP stagecoach, either producing coin or wood for the Russian player, fighting next to these 2 blockhouses. A's can just do this all day. I don't think he's going to be too worried about this, especially if he starts massing from 2 stables. 3rd blockhouse in the middle to protect as well.
I agree with your assessment. At this point, A's kind of has like an economy to back up like the Russian war machine, where he's just going to be pumping out so many units. And A's, I think what he's kind of trying to do at this point is prevent Mitoe from getting like an actual army up, because these units it's a small group of units, right? So he's not going to get that critical mass and get a real army out of it if A's just keeps trading his units into Mitoe's. No.
One settler trying to build a market sees the army and thinking, nope, I'm going back to the town centre. We do see arquebusiers being shipped, and this is giving that range advantage now just to Mitoe for the time being. But you know, another 5 Cossacks being produced, 4 Cossacks shipped to the front forward blockhouse, and we do have 9 Cossacks currently on the field, charging into skirmishers, Minutemen, and only 2 redcoats. There is the pike sentries have already gone. There is no anti-cav for the time being. Units in queue, 1 cavalry batch just being produced from the War Academy of the Chinese player,
big.
but that's going to take on the Strelets, but the Cossacks are still on the arquebusiers, and for the time being, the Cossacks and the arquebusiers is a bigger loss than the rain for the heavy cavalry on the Strelets. Reinforcement batch of the Cossacks being produced in that stable continuously. Look at AZ resources. He's got enough resources to continuously pump out Strelets and Cossacks, and this is what Russian player does. Russian player loves to take these trades, regardless if it's against China, Japan, any other civ. But Mitoe needs to try and get that mass to go, and now that he's spent 3 shipments, 5 Changdaos, intervention, 10 arquebusiers, he just hasn't had that mass together to kind of fend off. If he saves the pike Minutemen earlier in the colonial age and sent the and built the Confucian Academy to train the skirms, he could have had the pikes and skirms full HP as soon as age up, and then once the first 2 shipments come in, may have had the mass to overrun the Russian player. But for the time being, these Cossacks are so strong, so pop effective, cost efficient, and it's just these are continuously batches being made, especially with the TPs gathering these awkward resources. We do have settlers exposed to the left hand side of the map, but does get covered by the village, and another building being denied by the Russian player, and there's currently no War Academy on the field for Mitoe. He can't produce units. You don't need. It doesn't matter if you've got a great economy. There's no point if you can't produce any units.
Yeah, for sure. You know, these Chengdao are coming out. They're going to help with the Cossacks. Here's an engagement where I feel like China does pretty okay, just because of these cavalry and the anti-cavalry kind of do really well against Strelet Cossack. So there's an advantage right there. More reinforcements coming. 10 Strelets coming in from the east. Going to join the fight, and it looks like A's is going to once again just come out on top, and Mitoe's at 0 military population.
This is a kind of a critical, danger point, because Aizamk has just sent 600 coin. He has 2 stables on the field, double producing mass batches of Cossacks, and villagers. It's not the end of the world if these go down, but I'm not too sure where the next units are coming from, because I still don't see a War Academy. One being thrown down emergency by 4 villagers, but it has been down for a while, and he's been relying on the porcelain tower to get the wood needed, but it's currently on coin, and with no market on the field, you can't buy the resources needed to get the wood to age up. So yes, we've got 61 population of Aizamk currently in Mitoe's base, and no units in queue for Mitoe. This is dire straits.
I feel like, Mitoe has been impressing me like throughout the game with his ability to take engagements, and you kind of push away A's over the course of the game. But I think it's too much now. It's A's has just gotten his economy to roll, and has so many units. As you pointed out, 61 versus 60. I'm sorry, versus
So
6.
Mito's got one shipment on the way, but he's spent all of his unit shipments. He's only got the Manchu, the Deer
And the
Herd,
TC
and
goes
the
down.
upgrade card. So yeah,
And
Cossacks still on the field, and with more Cossacks reinforcing, and only units to boot to speak for the Russian player of the Cav and the Musketeers, Mito's going to resign at that point, and it's 2-all. We're getting a close series here, guys.
Yep,
Yes.
and an out, kind of quickly instead of some post game chat. So A's ties up the series 2-2, and Mitoe is feeling that loss for sure. He A's played this really well. I think it was close throughout the entire game. The engagements were close. The game kind of seesawed back a little bit, but A's managed to come out on top and just tip the balance of the game into its favor. So some really, good play out of A's.
Yeah, what I like from A's as well is
What a series.
he had the forward block house as you would normally do as a Russian player, but he very quickly took down the trading post of the Chinese player. So if Mitoe went to age 3, then you won't get the experience boost to kind of get that shipment progression going as fast as possible. Quickly got his own stagecoach to kind of help his economy further, but once he had the production of Cossacks and Strelets with the population space available, he just kept streaming them in, because if you keep trading off units, then you don't need to build any more houses, so you kind of have an awkward, like a very weird how is it, an additional economy bonus of not having to build houses because you're just continuously trading off your colonial age units there and then. One thing from Mitoe I do want to question about is the unfortunate placement of the summer panels behind the TSC due to these trees, but you could have put the village on the right hand side, and building placement for China is so critical because of the Wanders really tanky villagers as gather points and not gather points, garrison points, shall I say. But also he went for a war academy in the second age, but I don't think he trained any units. So he spent a little bit of extra resources on a building he didn't really use, which slowed down his age up, and he was a bit slow dropping down that porcelain tower. And just imagine he got that tower down about 15 seconds earlier with villagers on it as well. No villagers in the porcelain tower made a very slow fortress age timing for Mitoe, and I think that gave enough time from Aizamk just to start kind of mass producing Cossacks, which the Chinese player really struggles against cavalry units in the third age because how they train batches and can only send one shipment at a time. So yeah, no, really impressed by Aizamk. That's a good win for him in that game, and it ties the series up 2-all for the time being. Alright, so it's a game. Oh, I know. I was waiting to see where the cheap priest card came in that match, but that never got shipped. So that's a definite misplay from Aizamk not shipping the team cheap priest card there. Right, imagine Cammy's just taking a break. I will also take a quick 1-minute comfort break. I'll see you guys in a bit.
Hey, sorry, I had to go to the bathroom. Let's see. Well, I don't know if I'm live or not, so I'm just going to assume that I am.
I am back. I've just had a banana as well. Just keep me going. Looks like we're going to possibly all 7 games here because we're currently 2-2 at this point, and it's between the two players. There's nothing to show that either player's going to edge out the next 2 games comfortably. So each of these games are going to be a slog to win.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really good series. I'm really enjoying it. All close. The scores are close. The civilization matchups are interesting. I'm having fun. I really am.
I mean, the thing is, I said it's like, oh, 5:30, I can do this, but my dad was like, oh, by the way, Harrison, we're having steaks tonight, and I was like, I just had to tell my dad, I don't think I'll be able to be ready in time for when it's freshly cooked, so I'm gonna have to have probably cold steak and chips later, or certainly heat it up and enjoy the series after with a steak at a later point.
That's a shame for steak, but these games are so enjoyable though.
You can't even plan that, like just randomly come back from football and Dad says, "Hey, by the way, we're having steak, hooray!" I'm like, shit.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm not too sure. Many of the viewers would enjoy me hearing like noises like this.
Are you live right now or not? I don't know.
Live? I mean, I'm here. Still broadcasting. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Probably a good opportunity if you go back through the chat and see if anything interesting has been said over the in between the 2 games from anybody else on the scene.
Well, I'm kind of reading the chat as things go. A lot of people are appreciating your analysis, so kudos to you.
Oh, thank you all. It means slightly little. No, it means a bunch. The winner will face either Snow or Lucas. So if anybody sees those guys in the chats, they're here for scouting information only. And looks like we've got the next matchup already in place: Japan versus India.
Interesting choice from Mitoe to go for Japan.
Well, Mitoe does play a bit of Japanese. I don't think it's not like he's never played Japanese before. I'm sure Mitoe's played every single civ going on, and I wonder if A's is going to take any inspiration out of Hazard's and Sompa Konku's stream, and I wonder if we'll see the Sepoy Revolt cards in Age 4. But I highly doubt that in this tournament match. But you never know with A's.
You absolutely never know with A's.
Have you ever seen that card, the Sepoy Revolt? 2,000 wood converts all villagers into Sepoys.
Yeah, I've seen that card before. I've never seen people actually use it, but I will give it to you real quick.
Well, next time you see Sompu's stream, then that's what you're gonna get. But we are jumping into game number 5 here on Colorado between Aizamk and Mitoe. A's is still 2-2 at the moment. He won the last game as the Russian civilization, and he's decided to pick the Indian civilization, and he's playing the Indians from the left-hand side of the map in the colour blue, where his opponent Mitoe has counterpicked with the Japanese, and we see both explorers going in different paths for both civilizations, but we do see the early trading post coming down for Aizamk, and he may actually catch the first pass from this travel at the bottom. So this is a good map knowledge from A's, knowing that this would be the TP which gives him the XP boost the soonest compared to maybe going for his own defensive in-base TP. We do see Mitoe out on the map working his way on 110 coin, and this is a very easy treasure for the Japan player to pick up because of the possibility of all the divine strikes, the stuns. See one wolf stun there, another wolf could be stunned but could be taken out very quickly. The stuns recharge very quickly for the Japanese player, and one wolf is still standing around, and oh my gee, that stab from behind, 80 HP taken out there in that one melee swing from the Japanese player. So that's a strong ability the Japan player has. The Indian player has come across 90 food as well, so this would be a good pickup for A's. With Asian civilizations, any food treasure you pick up directly correlates to an increase of age up time due to the fact that they can train villagers as they age up and just have to build it with a villager. But the grouping of the wolves together with 90 food ensures an equally easy pickup for the Indian explorer.
Here's that was a good pickup for the Indians, just because they're going to age up a little bit quicker, as you mentioned. Mitoe is getting some valuable treasures. 110 coin is nothing to snub, but he's also going to pick up this 90 wood treasure, which is particularly good treasure to get for the Japanese civilization.
It's also like you said, the Cougars. They're being picked up very easily from the Japanese player due to the low HP that they have.
Yeah, look at
He has
that.
also
One
seen,
divine strike.
He has also seen the 95 wood treasure down below, where the Indian monks have basically gone like a. They've scouted like the lengthways the left hand side, but that's about it. We do see the 120 XP from the 2 grizzlies down here, but oh, here we go. Aizamk, look at this. He's spotted the OP treasure, and he's gonna go for the grizzly bear. And if you've not seen the stats, wait until you see these stats, and you'll be amazed.
Yeah, I will look at that when the bear cub comes out. I think Mitoe is posturing for the other treasure that I pointed out earlier. So both these players just sitting on their side of the map and just getting all these valuable treasures.
What is it that the nearly mature bear cub? It's the same size as any other bear cub. It's got 3 times the attack. This bear cub must be really annoyed at his previous parents or some sort. But that's a very strong for a cub, let alone a full adult. So I'd hate to see what the full adult pet bear treasure is. Maybe that's the imperial stats. Maybe as the bear gets older and bigger, he just gets stronger naturally. Maybe that's why the pets also upgrade. Maybe it's they get older and stronger as and get more experience as it. But he's gone for the wolf. This wolf also has a ×3 treasure, but I know for a certain for the tiger doesn't have a ×3 treasure multiplier. I'm not sure about the coyotes as well. So a bit of mixture here. We do have 2 settlers moving forward for the Indian player, dropping down a aggro fort in the Zoo Tycoon.
Sorry.
No, that is probably like a comment of the week type of comment. We still see Mitoe not really taking on the 95 wood treasure. Maybe he still thinks that the Grizzlies are too tanky to take on, but he's currently making good use of the explorers of shrine booming. So maybe if he took time to get the 95 wood treasure, he may have like a bank of like 500 wood, but be so behind in his shrine count that it's just too good of a treasure to take for the time being. You see both explorers actually getting a shrine down, or like one after the other, so a good use. So maybe if he had an extra wood shipment coming in, he could actually use one of these villagers to drop the shrines on this safe hunt. The sugar shrines coming on his starting hunt as well. And yeah, he's already picked up 3 strong treasures with this pet grizzly, and he's taking no damage on it really. And a little bit of damage on each explorer, but once it gets age up, and has the Indian Explorer already picked up a HP bonus? Yes, Aizamk's just picked up a 30% HP. Look at the stats of these guys when they go to the second age. These are going to be some strong units.
Good faith agreements. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Good faith agreements out of A's, which is fairly interesting. Consulate is he going to go for a consulate rush with this?
Well, I'm struggling to see where the consulate is going to be put down. He does have the 2 villages.
Down here, over here.
It's gone down in base, is it? Okay, so I mean, I think what we can deduce from that is that he's going to go for some more economic play or more improvements. And I know that a good use out of this shipment would be the French consulate, where you can send the crates one after the other. I think they're technically classed as an improvement, so I think that's where the good faith agreements really helps that play order, or play style, shall I say. We do have the Indian monks bashing down a shrine, 450 HP each, so together this has 900 HP worth of free units for the Indian player, and that's a lot to deal with, especially if you haven't got any hand infantry. You've got a nice wall from Mitoe protecting his coin mine. The only qualm I have with this wall, it is in TC range, but it's not exactly out of Sepoy or Gurkha range. This is, even if you have settlers on the near side of the coin mine, they're still going to be poked at and taking damage for any Sepoy. So maybe next time bring the wall out maybe towards this tree a little bit more, just to buy that precious breathing space if you need to gather coin, because that is the only coin mine the Japan player has access to. So needs to protect that at all cost.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like some Sepoy coming out on the map, taking out these shrines, at least starting to work on them. I'm pretty sure that Mitoe is okay with that. 600 wood coming down and 4 villagers for Mitoe, as opposed to good faith agreements and 300 export for A's. And A's went for the French consulate, which is going to give him some crates to work with. And then it looks like foreign logging also came in. So both players kind of powering up, not focusing on military too much, but going for some medium-term growth. And
so what do you think of this build order from Aizamk here? We do have the good faith agreements, 300 export, the foreign login, the second tier wood trickle, and he's got 500 food wood on the floor due to the French consulate. And I wonder if he's going to be able to get the wood one in as well. Mitoe, on the other hand, is currently researching imperial bureaucracy, so his villagers have got the second tier food upgrade as well as going for the second tier all round. So he needs to be very good, very good villagers in their own right, and especially when you get in a good shrine population down out in the field, both sides. We have 3 up here. We also have 3 down here, so the Indian army can't take them all out at one point. I suppose early on in the game he did have both his Japanese explorers on the near close to each other, so it's probably easy enough for Aizamk to transition from one shrine to the other. But both explorers now for Japan are shrining the bottom side hunts. But Aiz is nearly about to advance up with a very eco-heavy playstyle, especially going for the second TP as well, access to the third, and made good use of those consulate shipments.
Yeah, I agreed. He got the crate shipments out. Looks like he put a few units down on the field to curb this shrine boom a little bit. Mitoe is still like putting up shrines on the other parts of the map, so no worries. No, not too big of a worry. But Aiz, gets up to the Fortress Age pretty easily. There's Mitoe is kind of like turning himself in the second age, with Yumi's behind walls, as we all know. I'm interested to see how this is going to work out. If Japan is going to sit back and kind of like really turtle it up, and India is going to try to break that, is my assumption. I'm not sure how. I guess that Yurumi are going to come into play. Some Mahouts. Aiz has some elephant upgrade cards. He's got the monk card as well. The Dukkha Suffering, which slows down nearby enemy units. So that's pretty interesting, especially since that synergizes with the 30% monk HP treasure he picked up a little bit earlier. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these two, plans interact with each other.
Here's an interesting thing. I've just seen Aizamk switch to the Ottoman consulate. However, he hasn't got the export needed to send any villagers or hussars or minutemen. So maybe Aizamk really values this extra line of sight, and he can see things the Japanese player can't. So he's going to poke around. He can clearly see the explorer dropping down this shrine before the Japanese player can actually scout himself. So he's going to get in and get good shots, and Mitoe needs to evacuate this quickly. Oh, he's just gone down.
Yes.
He didn't smoke screen it. I think Mitoe acknowledges that was probably a misplay on his side. We do see Sepoys at the back on the bottom taking even more shrines down, and a decent mass out for Aizamk while getting to the third age. So he's kind of keeping the shrine count under control. Mitoe's trained some units. He's trained some units in a kind of defensive manner, but he's not really made much use of them for the time being. I think he was maybe hoping that Aizamk wouldn't actually train any units if he was going for a greedy play, but Aizamk's kind of struck a nice balance here between eco and military growth for the Indian player.
Yep, agreed. He is taking the map. He's putting down some barracks. He's taking some trade posts. He has the Agra a little bit as well. A lot of these shrines are still up. We have 6 over here that are kind of uncontested. These are going to end up being safe. And Mitoe has indeed clicked up to the next age. So he's gonna,
it's not just the fact. Okay, he's going up the Shogunate, which is in its own right interesting, but he's dropping a lot of shrines in base with no. What is 7 lucky gods? What's this?
Yeah, I just saw that. Increases build bounty for constructing shrines.
Build bounty.
So he's looking for a lot of experience. He's going to age up with a wonder that gives you experience as well. So he's going to be looking to pump out some shipments in the Fortress Age.
But he hasn't got shipment in queue. So he's just got the one in queue. The bounty one coming in half an hour ago. But there's so many units. You've got the Sowers, low HP but high damage. Mahouts, high HP, splash damage. But look at these Indian monks as well. 700 HP each. These are baby Mahouts, and not to be underestimated. And these ranged units of the Mitoe, these archers, they're just struggling to do much damage. They're scratching all these elephants. They're not, the elephants are doing Aizamk proud, and I'm proud to say that as well.
Yeah, for sure. these humans are kind of tucked away. They fairly safe for the time being, but the number of Eshigaru Musketeers is dwindling pretty quickly, and these Mahous, as you pointed out, are still up. It does look like the attrition is just a little bit too high for A's, and that he lost so much infantry too.
Also,
he might have
A's didn't really commit onto the archers because he saw that there was a gate in the wall, so he's retreated. But Ashley Shipman, as well as Ashley popped from the Musketeers onto the Mahous. 2 Mahous down, Indian Explorers are down, and currently A's is actually hampered to hightail out the Japanese base. He's lost all his elephants, and he's only got sepoys out for the time being. And Mitoe's unit population of 34 is really going to come into fruition here. 7 Yurumis have just been sent for the Indian player, but although it's a fantastic shipment, it's not going to have that immediate kind of spike in power that he would have liked because of his previous units have already gone down. And yeah, luckily, that was the 2 Mahout shipment. Does A's have 3 in deck? He does not have the 3 Mahout shipment in deck. He does have the Dukkha Suffering card, and Monk makes the unit slower, Elephant Combat, Infantry Combat, Intervention. Missing an H3 card though. He's gone for 9 instead of 10, and
he's stacking up a lot of food, but he already sent all his food shipments, so I'm not too sure what the deal with that is. The Japanese player is pushing out on the map now. They just had a very advantageous trade for them when A's lost all his units.
I mean, it's interesting how you use the card. Yeah. It has a very good synergy with the 2 Mahouts, but the Mahouts are gone, so I'm not too sure when he's going to send the Explorer makes the unit slower, but there's no 1,000 coins, so I think A's is going to be committing to the H3 play here for the time being.
Oh, look at this! Look at this! The
Flaming Arrows are to get
out of position.
Yurumi's on the infantry mass. Second body's going to take out the flaming arrow, and now it's just only 1 flaming arrow, which is not that great versus infantry. Like, it does a little bit here and there, but it's not like a falconer. And Yurumi taking good damage onto these infantry units. They haven't been focused down by the Japanese player, but in the meantime, A's sepoy mass behind is just taking good volleys, and
that's a wonderful flank.
It's a lovely flank. We have the mighty Rajput pushing in from the left-hand side, snaring, but there's just too many archers and Ashigaru, so Mitoe, he's holding down this fort position very well. Konsha Yamabushi's snaring the sepoys, and Mitoe's just standing and delivering at this point. He knows his head got 2 Mahouts behind, trained from the stable. But where
it looks like he's going to try to hunt for these. I think that was the goal with that, but it looks like the actually kind of popped out and pushed the Mahout away. So now,
but
Mitoe.
The problem being is that the entire composition for the Japanese player is mainly Ashigarus. It's not like he's mass Yumi, mass Yumi archers. Oh, 7 Ashigaru pop. He's got 8 Ashi in his deck. I didn't spot that. That is Ashi heaven.
I think it's too much. Yes, it really is. 7 lucky gods and just 8 Ashigaru, 2 flaming arrows, 7 Ashigaru, and now all of a sudden, Mitoe just got so many shipments out. No. A little bit of banter as to the daimyo, I think, hunt, but it's too much at this point. Mitoe's army is just too sizable, and the Yurumi did not do the damage they wanted.
So both the Mahouts about to go down due to low HP, and they've done 0 attack damage. They've been essentially not wasted, but they haven't got anything done because you're not going to charge into disciplined Ashigaru mass with a cavalry unit. That'd be suicide, and there's been nothing in support to kind of help these guys. We've got a trained batch and a sent batch of units from the British consulate, so trying to hold out with consulate troops, but not much units behind, and desperately need sepoys, sepoys and Gurkhas at this point to try and maintain from the Ashigarus. Forget about is that another batch of flaming arrows coming in? Another 2? Yeah, there was another 2 batches of flaming arrows.
Yeah, that was another 2. That daimyo is getting a lot of just barely surviving and getting all these shipments out at the fight.
Shipments, it's the buffing of the units, and you can also train troops as well. So that is, that's so useful for the Japanese player.
The Ace at this point is kind of trying to make another army. He has, put down a town center up here.
Yeah.
But his military presence in this game is not enough to deal with the Japanese, and I don't know that it'll be sufficient to, he has a storm to weather, and I don't know that he can do it.
It's not like this is sneaky from Ace. He's just walked past 3 shrines. Like, these shrines do have a quite sizable line of sight. If you actually look on the fog of war. It's easily maybe like 2 town centre radius in terms of build towers, or should I say 2 barracks worth of line of sight. So all those villagers easily picked up. The third town centre being scouted by the shrine, and Mitoe knows that he can push into this base to take on the buildings. The army's not here, but the economy has moved elsewhere, and I think he's going to send all reinforcements here. He's starting to mass reinforcements to this point before pushing into New Delhi, shall I say.
That's a good way to put it. I like it. Yeah, actually kind of like going a little bit all over. Got some here, some here.
I suppose this is what happened to Old Delhi, I guess. Just being taken down.
It looks as if, Mitoe is just going to, not make any mistakes from going onwards and just focus on, keeping his nice stable position, get his shrine count back up. Which I believe he's already
Charmin are going down here at this point. A very minor comment to make. I'm very happy to see this. Look at this Mahout sieging these shrines down.
Where?
8 HP. Yeah. Absolutely no use in any fight moving forward, but can still get value out taken on these shrines with a high siege damage. So yeah, but 12 Indian settlers in this town centre for the time being. You've got Ashies surrounding it. Yumi's coming in for the extra range. Flame now is a little bit out of position, but it's slowly getting picked off by the town centre fire. Definitely don't want to push a daimyo any further. Snare from behind. Aizamk's pushing his army from behind to try and cut off his any reinforcements and retreat, but Flame now has seen, turned around, started firing onto the Sepoys and Musketeers, but we're trading Ashigarus versus Sepoy and Musketeers in a smaller mass.
That's not going to cut it.
We don't have a huge mass of Gurkhas here, so he's just hightailing out, and I think Aiz is realising he can't take this engagement. He has to try and play smart, maybe try and bit of raiding pressure for the time being, because this army at the moment of just Yumi and Ashigarus is really strong, and maybe we could see a Nagi switch from Mitoe, but instead he's going up for the 4th age, and I think once the 4th age comes in, I do expect Aiz to go for an all-in play, because his options after that is very limited, especially if these guard upgrades come in.
Yeah, and he will be getting the guard upgrades. That's why he's going to the. He's already ahead. He has so much room to do. Mitoe has so much room to do what he wants at this point. So why not just head over to the next stage, upgrade the Ashigaru further, keep Aiz on the run. Look at these villagers just not gathering, running around, being in danger. It's so difficult for Aiz to realistically come back in this game. I don't want to call it too early, but
no, I think sometimes I have to agree with this one, because we also have the Golden Pavilion, so that'd be like maybe 12, 15 Yumi Archers due to it being Industrial Age. We'll have the range upgrade from the Golden Pavilion. We'll have the guard Ashigaru, guard Yumi coming in. We've got 1,200 food for Mitoe, so you can easily train out batches of 10 Yumi Archers from both barracks, because he's got the Bushido principles, and yes, we do see a large batch of 10 Ashies just being produced there, and another 10 from here. Just look at that, 20 Ashigaru reinforcements there and then. That is so strong, especially while aging as well. That's just a show of dominance.
This is why you play Japan. This is what you go for. These sorts of situations where your economy is up. You're
not a good fight though. Yumi Archers being sent to this town centre. Minutemen being popped snare in. Both pikes and militia. We have the range Ashigaru coming from behind, and yeah, as soon as that Industrial Age, the GG had been coming for quite a while. He was trying to put down a age up wonder of himself, Aizamk, possibly the Taj Mahal at this point, but yeah, I think the play of the game was this wall right here. I did say that maybe have that wall a little bit further extended to protect that coin mine, but maybe having 2 walls is better than 1. But that wall here with that gate shows to Mitoe that if you want to take on his archers, you have to path around the town centre due to this cheeky little wall in between the market and town centre. But as soon as you get on top of the archers, they're just going to walk out the gate into safety, and those elephants would have overcommitted into the Japanese base and be really stuck at that point. So, really good base placement and layouts with bits of walls here and there, buildings around, and this wall next to the TC is so good and could be used in any situation, because it's not like normally you can walk either left side of the TC or the right, but in this case you're going to move one round in one direction. But if you're just on either side of the gate, you have to do a full 360 loop of the TC, and it buys so much time for 500 wood, 10 wood.
Yep, no, agreed. That point you just described is probably the point at which the game really pivoted in the favor of Mitoe. it's always really difficult when you're aggressive and you go into someone's base and you try to cause game-ending damage. But more often than not, when you get to the level of play at which Mito and A's are as of today, it's a very risky gambit to try to finish the game with aggressive play to that degree. So kudos to Mito for handling that as well as he did.
Yeah, no, good comments there. I mean, it's certainly once it's. I think for Aizamk, it was very important that 30. He got the Grizzly treasure, and then after that, he managed to get the HP bonus upgrade treasure on the map, and then he was pushing in with those two 700 HP units into Mito's base. But just imagine if Aizamk had the 3 Mahout card as well. He had a few questionable cards in his deck last game, and the thing with these, what I think is India's so strong at the moment is I'm not too sure the Mahouts is classed as a mercenary shipment. So they have the normal shipment time. You're spending food to send it, but foods are much better resource to collect and spend than food and wood, which Mahouts cost. And just to get that power spike of the 3 Mahout shipment for the 1,000 food investment, you're getting 2 shipments essentially in power at that one point, and that extra Mahout could have tanked so many shots from the crossbows. Could be enough siege to take down that wall segment, and we could have said goodbye to all of Mito's ranged infantry mass at that point. So certainly, I'm expecting most Indian players to have all of the food shipments, like the Yurumi, 2 Mahout, 3 Mahout, 2 Howdah, 2 siege elephants. Maybe not 2 Howdahs, but yeah, no.
Yes. Yes.
You think you can take on these guys, Cammy? You think you can take these guys on? I'd love to see you try.
I would. I have tried a few times, but it never really worked out.
Yeah. I have a policy of if I'm on an ESOC patch, I'll play anybody and everybody. Unfortunately, though, that's kind of led me to have I haven't necessarily been counting, but I might be on like a -15 losing streak for the time being. Names involved in that would be Give Anxiety, Kick-Ass, Poisson-Du, King Orange II, and just everybody around the kind of major to colonel level just bashed me once. And I'm currently second bottom of the ladder, so if anybody wants to give me an easy victory and give me some elo, it would be very appreciated.
We could play maybe a little bit later if you.
Nah, I'll be too busy watching the next series.
Yeah, I know that's for sure.
The thing is, I would love to like like a colonel or brigadier comes in and like, okay, I'll have another bash onto you to kind of further extend your streak and make me feel good. But then I come in and have that cheeky 2 Rux Jan rush, and just imagine the memes if I Give You Anxiety and recorded it. Not to single out in any individual player, but that would be an ego wreck and a half.
Yes.
Yeah, no, for sure.
3v1 one solo cast. I'll be casting myself versus 3 people. Right, I'll be back in a second. I'm going to check something with parents.
All right, yeah, go right ahead. I wonder if I'm still live. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, no. I believe that I'm still talking to the stream right now. So, hi, guys. I've been reading the Twitch chat. It's been fun to read the comments and talk at the same time. This series has been like really, really, really fun to watch and cast.
So Mitoe won last game as Japan, and is he still thinking of playing as a Chinese civilization?
Did he? I didn't see him lock in China, but he may have.
Because the thing is, what I've noticed is like some civs do really well as a first pick, and some do not so well as a first pick. And it seems like China got overrun by Russia quite easily last game, and there are other civs who could do similar things like that, especially with any TP control, which Aizamk could get, which could be things like Iroquois, Ottoman, and if Mitoe picks the China as well, you could just see A's He's already won as the British though, so he can't play China's big weakness. So it looks like
Oh, looks
Mito's
like they are. Yeah.
locked into China versus French, and I assume that Mito picked China first, so both players are happy with that matchup. I'm gonna ready in. We do have the summer map on. We do have the observer mode, recorded game. So I need to always keep checking is the recorded game. I'm always a bit anxious if the recorded game's checked.
Yeah. If games aren't recorded, yeah, that's it's always a tricky one when the tournament game happens and someone wins and then they look back and we didn't have a replay. Fudge. But here we are on Hudson Bay, the summer version of the map.
Can you check Mito's hunts? Slightly favour to Aizamk, maybe not overly too much, but maybe a quick check won't go amiss.
I see one at the town center for each player, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3.
No, yeah, no, actually, the nearest three hunts are equal. So I think this is fine. Coin mines are fine. We're gonna play this. So welcome back, guys, to game number 6 in a best of 7 between Mitoe and Aizamk. Mitoe is currently leading 3-2 for the time being, with some very good wins as the Iroquois, French, and Japan. However, in this game, he's been playing as the Chinese civilization, spawning on the left-hand side of the map in the colour teal, and playing as the Chinese, where his opponent, Aiz, needs to come back if he wants to stay in this tournament a little bit longer, and has decided to pilot the French in this game on Hudson Bay. What do we see so far? We do see the Chinese explorer push down to the map and come across a very early 100 wood, and he's already put down his first village, but you can see he's continuing to chop. He may not need to chop any. Yeah, it looks like he's going to go for 100 wood chopped, get this 100 wood treasure, and probably go for an early trading post himself. But no, we see Aizamk coming in for the treasure contention. Mitoe is away from the treasure. This could be a crack shot if he's got available. Mitoe needs to move to the treasure. Yes, he's moved his way right next to it now, so it could be even Stevens as they go in for the treasure connection. Polar Bear, 114 HP, and Mitoe still needs to take it down if he wants to get it in, but he's got to try and bait Aizamk to make the last hits.
Oh my god, it's so close.
He's got it! Mitoe's got it!
I need help.
Yes, 100 wood going to Mitoe, and he's already chopped that 100 wood available, so he can go for the second village. Yeah, he's going for the second village and sending Northern Refugees. The card is just about to be sent now, and once that is sent, he's not going to give him the population now, but he won't be population capped in the first place, but sending Northern Refugees will give him 3 settlers, because 2 from the village and 1 from the town centre, and it would also provide the Chinese, probably more importantly, that extra population, so that if one of these villagers does get taken down by any shenanigans from the French player, he will still have population to play with. Just by doing some a little bit of analysis with Chinese playstyles, excluding the fact this is a TP map, pretend it isn't a TP map, instead of going for 2 villages, I think going for village, market, and going for the hunting eagles and the civil servants, so tier 1 food and tier 1 all, is actually a slightly smarter investment, because he does have 50 coin on the floor already. He does have the 100 coin on the floor, so 150 coin could have been bought to another 100 wood, but also provides the coin needed to get market upgrades as well. And you see, last time we watched Mitoe play as China, he wasn't able to get a market down at any point due to the pressure from the Russian player. So electing to go with a second village instead of a market or a trading post. But we see Aizamk advancing up. We see Mitoe pushing
13.
his explorer down to the south and maybe going for a trading post in transition. We'll have to find out.
I noticed that Aiz did 2 things. He aged with 13 villagers, so that's an earlier age up right there. But he also aged slightly later.
Straight away called it. He's going for the Cree settlement. So an earlier age up will allow him to train the CDBs earlier, because CDBs from the Cree settlement is an age 2 unit. So I've tried to place it in age 1 and been very disappointed, but you can't train CDBs in the first age. Probably for good balance reasons, of course, but this second trading post at the time being, as well as the XP it gives you for building it and the generation due to this latest ESOC patch, will give Aizamk a really good early economy as well. So maybe Mitoe has gone for the second village, anticipating some sort of early shenanigans from the French player, but the French player has gone for the Cree settlement and maybe going for a more economic play style with well, I don't see a market though. This is a time you'd get a market, and Aiz has 200 wood available, so do we see any Any villages
Yeah, I
on
don't
map?
think going towards the trade post either, so I'm a little bit confused as you are. No market.
Oh, look at he's going for the Cree textiles, which is building is related to buildings. 25% wood reduction on all buildings created. 175 wood, 175 coin. Does take a while for it to come in though, so is holding off on other buildings. But I do think going for an earlier market would be beneficial at this point. He does have a lot of. He's going for one single training post at full cost for the time being. It hasn't been coming just yet. First CDB has been trained for Aizamk, and he's going for like a really wood-heavy build and funding it into cheaper buildings. But it is cheaper buildings, but it's only 25%. So, yeah, possibly squeezing 1 or 2 buildings out early on wouldn't go a mass. Yes, he's gone to second house, early TP, but still no market from Aizamk or no military building as well.
Yeah, interesting. It looks like he traded that market and other things for like a trade post that pumps out CDB. So I respect that decision. And
Yeah.
then looks like slapping down a bunch of trade posts as well. Is he skipping the market completely and just everything? Because, yeah, it looks like it.
But then you can also say if you have in more CDB, then the market techs become even more valuable as a result. So hopefully, I'm gonna guess that he's gonna send 700 wood as his first shipment, and then on that you can kind of get his military buildings down, market down. No, 4 CDB first shipment, and that was sent about 30 seconds ago. 9 Quang Pikemen out on the floor for Mitoe, and I think this is a blind Quang Pikeman shipment. He's now seen that, yes, there's 2 TPs, 2 trading posts, shall I say, of the XP variant instead of the native posts on the floor. So maybe that confirmed his shipment. But yeah, this could be a classic Mitoe FF of no coin shipped in total.
Yeah, no kidding. Ice's deck is pretty interesting.
I don't want to check, to be honest. So I'm going to assume it's going to be Wilderness Warfare, Native Combat. No. Well, he does have the Church card, single Caravel, Swiss Pikes, which, you know, I think French players should include at least 1 mercenary shipment. Does have the refrigeration, but apart from that, pretty standard. Does have Pioneers. He does have a single 700 wood coin crate. Maybe could have doubled up. He does have both the cavalry cards. I'm not too fan of the cavalry attack card in H2 though.
Looks like Ace is going to get pushed off this treasure, and the pikemen. Basically, Mitoe is going to be able to pick up this villager pretty easily. These 3 Hussar are coming out. They're going to get pushed away by the pikemen. Ace wants to do something, but he's not going to be able to.
So yeah, that one villager pickup's going to be very unfortunate for Aizamk, but that villager has to walk back to the safety of their own side. Otherwise, they are at risk of being picked up from the 3 Hussars out in the field. And you know, I assume more Hussars are in queue. We do have 8 expos just been shipped for the French player to counter the Quang Pikeman shipment of the Chinese, but Aizamk uses cavalry and ranged infantry to push away the heavy infantry of the Chinese player so that he can capture the trading route for himself. But yeah, Mitoe's actually aging up to the 3rd age, and things this time he's got all 8 villagers onto the Wanza. This one's going very quickly.
He's got tree settlement for CDB. Mitoe is powering up his economy pretty significantly here, more so than you would normally see.
So the Porcelain Tower is a good decision in this matchup because he's not under pressure, and as soon as that's built, it's producing resources. And the fact that it gets up so much earlier due to the villagers, it doesn't really matter between 4, 6, and 8, but it gets you to send that first shipment earlier, so it's a good call. And yeah, this Cree train post is really good, but again, hopefully on the age up or the 700 coin wood shipment or whichever shipment's going to send first, he needs to also get that market down. China doesn't have a market, and yes, Aizamk's just got himself with steel traps and placer mines, so these French villagers from A's are really working really well at the moment. 6 Hussars moving to the top, and there's a few pikemen defending this top village, and that's actually come really well handy for Mitoe. I think
but these Hussar are going to overpower them.
They're going to overpower, but they're going to get some good damage. But the Quang pikemen are only 7 times by 5, only 35 attack. They're weaker than European pikemen in this case, so actually that's a really good pickup from A's there.
Yeah, trading a Hussar against all those pikemen, not a bad deal. One of the Hussar did get Looks like some crossbowmen also picked off maybe a few other units from the Chinese side of it. But I don't think Mitoe really cares at this point. Mitoe is on easy street because as the Chinese player, if you're up in the third age and you're in a comfortable position, I mean, that's what you're going for. This is not like the Russian game where Mitoe was constantly under pressure. At this point, the momentum, the tempo advantage is with Mitoe, I want to say, despite A's having, a very strong economy and, following up himself.
Yeah, absolutely. He's pushing out with the 5 Meteor Hammer as first card and sends in a military shipment as first card. Indicates you kind of want to, push the advantage and tempo while you do have it. Looking at his deck, he has 1,000 coin in the deck, no 1,000 wood. Manchu are available to support if needed, but I believe he'll be shipping unit shipment after unit shipment. But he does have the porcelain tower on wood, a few extra villagers on wood as well to try and get village production, but he's currently popped at the moment. No sight of actually getting another village. He's got a concept being built, but he's currently population blocked. And yeah, he's just bought some wood there to get a village thrown down ASAP, or at least researching the population upgrade from the village. And he's got the market down, and yes, he's just got hunting eagles, water wheel, civil servants coming in now, and he's starting to get those markets behind. So he's started to push out a little bit early with all the military shipments coming in, but he's following up with the Markitex and the CDB, CDBs as well as Porcelain Tower to kind of, have a mixture of economic power as well as military power.
Yeah, look at that. The recalculated economic population in Mitoe's favor. These trade posts are going down pretty much for free because A's does not have any military. I mean, he does, but he doesn't have the military to really contest what's going on the map. So Mitoe has this time where he can clean up this trade route. He can continue massing his units, and he's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and France has to deal with this one way or the other. I see 5 cuirassiers in queue, but, Manchu are still an option. Qingdao's swordsmen are still an option, and the Chinese cavalry is nothing to scoff at either.
We've got a small ranged infantry mass on the French player, scout in hand, but gets sandwiched between the pikemen and the cavalry. Yeah. Once that cavalry gets that snare one, they've got the ranged advantage with the meteor hammers. 2 range on each attack, and these skirmishers are not getting away very quickly. And I think Aizamk's going to have to sacrifice his entire range. But look at this cav switch coming in from Aizamk on the right hand side. There's very little anti-cavalry here. A few colonial age pikemen, but the splash damage from the cuirassiers is going to tear down a lot of these units. Hussars onto the skirmishers. Cuirassiers. The meteor hammers are alright versus other cavalry. The iron flails are pretty poor versus other cavalry though. So this cavalry mass is doing quite well versus for Aizamk, but actually may not have had enough mass here.
Yeah, I feel like there were just enough pikemen mixed in there for that to go in the favor of Mitoe, and it looks like, wow, that fight just went so much in favor.
I didn't predict that really. Mitoe funded. A's funded that all off with the 3 cuirassier shipment and 1,000 coin. And 1,000 coins being shipped now, but I think A's thinking, hang on a minute, don't resign though, A's. This is your match. This is match point for Mitoe. You really need to kind of put it in. Big raid coming in from Mitoe onto the CDBs of A's, and there's potential with that 1,000 coin shipment to fund off another big batch of cuirassiers, and maybe halberdiers actually would be a far-fetched idea, specifically from this forward barracks to kind of isolate and trap the cavalry. But yeah, Mitoe's pulling back his cavalry units while he can.
Mitoe just managed to pick up 3 really good engagements. He picked off that ranged infantry. The cavalry counterattack from A's kind of, crashed against the cavalry and the anti-cavalry of Mitoe, and then although CDB getting picked up as well, those were 2 sledgehammer blows from Mitoe that I don't think Ace is going to be able to recover from. Look at these.
Yeah, exposed vehicles. We do have 5 CDBs at the bottom of the map to kind of try and trap anything. We do have 4 QSS being trained. Maybe going for a 5th one now with still resources available for Minutemen, but a lot of CDBs have gone down at this point, and population coming out now. Higher Swiss pilots are coming! Traps the cavalry units. 5 QSS pop up from the stable, and this is a huge pickup from A's.
And Minutemen coming in as well. This is one of the so many units at the same time, and look at Mitoe having to pull away. This is kind of what A's needed to come back into this game. Is it going to be enough? We'll have to see. The cuirassier numbers are slowly dwindling.
Just imagine if A's had that ranged infantry, the skirmishers and crossbows still alive, because these cuirassiers and pikemen, they're great for snaring, but they're not doing great damage versus the redcoats, and redcoats can get some decent trades while they can. So yeah, really good pop there for Mitoe. Aze is back in this game. However, I think previous engagements, he's really paying the price for it now. He's only got a few of these pikemen remaining, maybe 6 on the field still with the cavalry, and you know,
Wonderful.
He's already lost 6 CDBs behind this, so he's really pressured to try and make something now, while you know he's down in eco versus the Chinese player.
Yeah, you don't want to be down in economy against China of all civilizations because they just get so many units out anyway.
Manchu's on the field, and this could be real tough.
The game
now.
is still stacked in against A's, I think, but that engagement was really marvelous. At least we got to see that. Is there anything else that Ace could kind of pull out of thin air?
Well, eight skirmishes is the unit shipment you need at this point right now to go against the Changdao and the Manchu, and hopefully Ace is not going for another batch of QSS, but yeah, I see a Dragooning queue. One Dragoon.
He doesn't have a barracks queue, unfortunately.
He's dropping a barracks now down top side.
Oh, there we go.
He also went for that. So Ace went for that 3 trading post line, didn't go for stagecoach because he couldn't hold on to it, but also invested 3 TPs into it, which is quite a sizable investment, even after the wood reduction card. So delayed market for the wood reduction card. Interesting to see if that paid off or not, but that gave Mitoe a free path up to AoE3, and you can see this now, like literally shipments coming in. I think we've just had the second batch, or maybe the third batch is nearly about to pop up from the Summer Palace as well. Look at the export. You can train another 6 redcoats if he likes. He's got 2 batches of the skirms from the 2 war academies. He can sell a bit of food for some more gold and get a stable upgrade, not stable, cavalry unit. But also look at the top of here, 2 docks chucked down with 6 fishing boats, and with the porcelain tower generating wood for you, this is it basically is converted into like a mini. It's currently on coin now, but Mitoe is able to go on sea at the same time as well as having this large military advantage in the center, and these Manchu just scares away the French army completely. And you know, Aizamk needs to fully commit to skirmishes at this point, because you know, French player can mass skirms from 2 raxes, 3 raxes quite comfortably, but the Chinese player has to train these armies type units. So you've got the skirmishers and the Changdao train at the same time, and the Changdaos get picked off very quickly from the skirmishers. But interesting tech being researched. So A's went for the reduction building, but look at the other Chinese player. He's got the this leather tannin or Creed tannin, which I believe is only 5 HP bonus on all units, but still that every little helps, especially when you've got lots of units like that. And for 5 HP, yeah, 100 food, 100 coin for 5 HP. Just imagine if all those cuirassiers and Swiss pikes had 5% extra HP. That is a sizable amount for such a small investment at that point.
Ace actually did pick it up as well. I just checked. So it looks like he
just come in there, I think.
But just look at the massive Chinese units.
Yeah, text completed at the 16-minute mark there. So that was after the Swiss pike shipment. So that's unfortunate there, shall I say? But yeah, it's like just checking the skirmish account on its own. It's 22 skirms versus 24 arquebusiers. But these now have the territorial combat card. He's decided to not go for the repellent volley just yet, and I think that's a good call, because 15% attack and HP for these units, which affect both the swordsman and the arquebusiers, is a good call. Not much heavy infantry on the field. A few pikes still remaining, but can be picked off. And yeah, he's even got the 11 redcoats. He's got the intervention as well as the consulate units trained. Halberd is coming out, scaring away the cavalry mass of the Chinese player, both of the hand cavalry and the Manchus, of providing ranged cavalry support. 2 falconets currently tied up in the trees, and Aizamk he's waiting for the Chinese player to come onto him and try and get some sort of miracle fights. But realistically, looking at what Mitoe's doing behind us with the fishing boats, still resources he's gathering from his own map, as well as the porcelain tower, Chinese upgrades, Cree settlement, no villagers lost. I think Mitoe is also happy just to sit back, because this is a taunt match. He wants to play to his absolute strengths and win it. And look at this, he's sat so far back into his own half. He's waiting for the French player to kind of push out, overcommit, and it's a long way back for these skirms to run if they're caught out from the cavalry.
That's a good point you make. The Mitoe is playing this really carefully and really safely. He is ahead. He has the momentum. He can do what he wants. So he's just going to take the time to, set up a fish boom and get that going for him and all these things. And he's just going to stay ahead. He's not going to relinquish his lead. Finally, Mitoe has enough and just pushes in after he gets the double-faced armor.
I think this is going to be a Z move. We've got Manchu zoning out two QSS to the bottom. We'd have all the Changdaos go straight in onto the range infantry mass. We do have cavalry on top right, but Swiss pikemen onto the cavalry here, protecting the Falconets really well. This is a great control from A's, even from such a dire situation. He's defending really well, but the swordsmen are just cutting through the front, and at least the Redcoats are just providing that range damage from behind, which they're so good at doing.
There's just too much. I think that's going to be game.
Yeah,
GG is
really
called
good fight
in,
there for Ace
Mitoe.
at the end, but it's just too much. And GG, what a
Picks
great
it up.
series that was.
It really was. It was a treat to watch.
Mitoe taking out 4-2 for the final game, and in this final game we see both players going for cruise settlements, more economic. Mitoe sneaking some docks later on, but once that China got to age 3 undisturbed and started moving up with the military mass, he had the advantage. That Swiss pop was really was good from A's, but yeah.
Yes.
No, go on.
Yes.
No, I was just absorbing in the moment,
Yep, absolutely.
Mitoe's advanced into the semi-finals, and we're already at the kind of the really tough end of the tournament at the moment. Like, it's the winner's going to face either Snow or Lucas, and Snow, was rated maybe about 10th or 11th on the power rating for the Pro Division, but if you beat Lord Raphael 4-3, then who was voted number 2, then that's Snow's in form. Look out for him. Lucas up and coming, and could arguably be a worthy.
Lucas is a good player, but Snow is.
No, he's come on recently. He was one of those players of the NWC was just basically playing everybody because he wasn't in the tournament. Everybody felt comfortable playing versus him, so that you don't actually get like a full-on lowdown with people's strats. And so, yeah, Luke's been playing a lot recently, and I think Lucas beat Oliveza 4-1, and let me remind you, Oliveza it was either Optimus Prime or Sampu Konku. I think it was Sampu Konku. So if Lucas can beat Oliveza, can beat Sampu Konku, then Lucas is much better than Sampu Konku. And Lucas, and that just shows, because Sampu is a good player in his own right, how informed Lucas is at the moment. So that's been a good series there between those two. Believe the loser is out for the time being, so we'll have to say goodbye to A's. Goodbye, A's. It was your tournament run of Samurais, and Mitoe was good while it lasted. However, unfortunately, maybe next time. Looking at the village account here, nothing too common to say. Mitoe did get the double pops from the Cree settlement later on, as well as the fishing upgrades, where Aizamk managed to get that on early on as a French player. But looking at the military unit population, it was a big win for Mitoe early on, which basically took out all of Aizamk's units, and that was the capture of the Chinese cav on the range infantry in the middle of the map by the TPs, and after that was a real tough for Aizamk to come back at that point. And the final fight, 136 population versus 104, and Aizamk's army just fell apart because of the superior numbers and strength as well, really, of all the units combined. Good combos there. But I'm going to head out of that one, and that was the end of that game. And